Boom. It's a huge rock. It hasn't landed yet. It was convenient to shoot down dense bullets. Shish, a wink. The place where Kizaru was standing was shot into a sieve. And Kizaru himself. Nature is also riddled with holes. But he still looked up calmly, as if nothing happened. Logia. Oh ha ha ha, it's challenging. Brothers, kill him and we can drive straight in. Ha ha ha, the arrogant virtue of celestial dragons. I don't know if I can maintain it. On the rocks. Many pirates can't wait to jump down, and some of them are powerful fruit-capable users. Holy land. Riots also started. All the muzzles are aimed upwards. Don't give them a chance to come down. Fire. The Marine commander's hoarse voice, accompanied by a roar. Disappear slowly. Really? Kizaru flashed to a higher altitude, that is, above the giant rock. Hands folded. Both hands squeezed a small circle. 8-foot Chong Guyu. Hey, Marine commander. It's not good to be so sneaky. A voice suddenly sounded beside Kizaru's ear. Very hot and fiery. Followed by, it was a mighty, white-gloved fist. Call _ it hasn't fallen yet. The gust of wind fluttered wantonly. The Kizaru attack was forced to stop. Raise one arm. The head was protected in time. Boom, an air circle exploded. Kizaru was directly smashed hundreds of meters below. Do-it-yourselfer. Tall and strong, with long golden hair. Wearing military uniform with earmuffs, the appearance is bohemian. On momentum. There is also a devilish feeling of climbing out of the abyss. Now. The figure falls with gravity. At this time, it was parallel to the pirates on the huge rock in the distance. He glanced lightly, not in love with fighting. The figure moved directly towards Pangu City. On the rock. The pirates all saw this scene in their eyes, and kept holding weapons at this time. Like a statue. Compared with the previous viciousness. It looks a little funny. The breath emanating from that moment. Terrible. Is that the successor of the ghost? It's Douglas Bullet. I didn't expect. He also made a move. Did you knock down that Logia-capable user with just one blow? It really is as powerful as rumored. Great. Having him join us, we have a better chance of winning. Why are you hesitating? Let's go together. After a brief silence. Pirates. A wave of extreme confidence erupted. Although come before. They vaguely heard that there would be some unexpected people joining. But also just to listen. Those few, but an extremely arrogant existence. How can it be united? Now. Really hammered. The arrogance of self-confidence. Layers are rising at this moment. Below. In a huge pothole, the golden light flashed. Kizaru moved 100 meters away, looking like he was having a headache. Paluzolino Vice Admiral, are you okay? A rear admiral comes running. Kizaru shook his head, motioning for him to hold his ground. Subsequently, he looked at Pangu City faintly. It seems that the target is inside. It would be bad if it really hurt the nobles of the world. Talking. His figure was about to turn into particles again. Unexpectedly. Several powerful auras blocked his way. They are the most vicious pirates in Impel Down. Want to solve it in a short time. It's still a little difficult. In Pangu City. Rodan is enjoying the fireworks in the sky. But suffered 2 CPO. Master, I am. Understood. I have said it several times to the grave. Rodan turned around. He planned to look at it from a higher place. Only. Just turned around. A breath like a mountain of corpses in a sea of blood broke into Pangu City. From the perspective of the 2 CPOS and their knowledge. Intruder. It's like a huge bomb that crashed into a dead ocean. With a bang. The whole sea began to boil, and a mushroom cloud rose from it. Hurry up, Lord Huam, go first, Smiley Masked Man shouted. Subsequently, he rushed forward without looking back. It looks like, after trying to break, Rodan blocked the intruder. And another CP0 with a dull masked face heard the words. No hesitation. Directly facing Rodan. Master, I will protect you, you go first. The voice did not fall. Then there was a muffled sound. Immediately afterwards, the white shadow flies past. In the end, it landed in a beautiful garden. Dull face. He swallowed, and was really dumb. He didn't expect that this colleague who was stronger than himself could last even a minute. Oh no, as soon as he finished speaking, he flew back, fearing that he couldn't hold on for even 3 seconds. CPO? Are they all such rubbish? Damn it. His dull face changed, and he jumped into the sky with one foot. Kick upwards in a crescent shape. Tempest kick death circle. Language fall. The arc-shaped white light spins out like light waves. Only. As soon as it flew 10 meters away, it shattered in circles. Immediately afterwards, a muscular man in military uniform clasped the dull man's face with one palm. The tone was very disdainful. The strength of moves is no longer gorgeous, but in absolute power. Say it. He grabbed it and threw it down hard. Boom, earthquake. Bullet, who was hanging in the air, glanced at the woman in robes not far in front of him. Other side. Standing in place very calmly. This made him a little suspicious. It's interesting, I don't even have any fear at all. Bullet turned his head away. Murderous heart overflows. He don't know I am. But knowing that the identity of the people living in Pangu City is not simple. So, you didn't die unjustly, Bullet chuckled. 1 foot. That incredible speed. Make it look like a piece of afterimage. Hoo-hoo, no one has arrived. The wind comes first. The wind above was like a howling demon, as if it was going to tear Rodin's robes. Call out. Bullet punched Rodan through the body. Very easy. But his expression changed slightly. Because of this punch. As if hitting the air, the expected sense of penetration did not come. Bullet looked over Rodin's head, still in the shadows. It's getting closer. As if there is a starry sky hidden in it. Humph, Logia? Bullet stared intently. With a movement of the left hand tied around the waist, a layer of armed color quickly spread. Previously, he didn't care whether he was dealing with the CPO or the person in front of him. Neither has ever used hockey. This is a kind of confidence in strength, but also contempt for these people. Words now. No need. Bye now. Bullet was about to throw his left fist as he spoke. But Rodan didn't give him a chance. Move your footsteps. Then he stepped back to the side. Bullet froze for a moment, then grinned. I don't think you were too scared by me to move. No. I was just thinking, who is better to use against you? Rodan shook his head. He just wanted to try this shadow robe. So far, physical attacks are indeed ineffective. But after Bullet covered hockey, he didn't want to try it. In case of overturning, that would be no fun. Thinking, he glanced at the castle behind him. Are these 5 old ladies so stable? People are knocking on the door. Haven't moved yet. Never mind. Rodin's heart skipped a beat. A black vortex opened right in front of the forehead. As if. What is calling? HMPH, pretending to be a ghost. Bullet glanced at it and stopped paying attention. Call. Is the devil fruit ability? Then kill you before you can use your abilities. Think like this. His figure moved again, intending to do it before something happened. But at this moment, a red figure flew out of the vortex, aiming at Bullet with a punch. Not sloppy at all. This sudden turn of events. Bullet didn't want to worry about it at first, so he could concentrate on killing the person in front of him. But did not expect. The speed and strength of the people above were beyond his expectation. Breath. Also terribly heavy. Bullet had no choice but to raise his fist and throw it back. Z-boom, lightning continuously diffused in the void. This. It is an armed color match that has been cultivated to ultimate. The two hit it off. This hit. Let the bullet slide on the ground for dozens of meters before stopping. Interesting. Bullet raised an eyebrow. Although it was blasted back, but he didn't feel that he was weaker than his opponent in strength. On the contrary. One on top, it relies on inertia and the power of falling, and naturally has a strength bonus. The other is below. That is himself, it was purely a hasty punch. This hit. Can't really compare. At least that's how Bullet sees it. I didn't expect. It was a woman. Bullet was still grinning, and his tone was a little teasing. And at this moment, Sakaski also floated down. She ignored Bullet and stared at Rodan. The expression is resentful. Rodin's robed though. The breath has also changed. But she recognized it immediately. You came. Sakaski responded indifferently. Eyes. Also obviously. Just asking. What's going on? A second ago. She is still on the flying boat. Next second. Just ran to this strange. Sakaski raised her eyebrows. The surrounding environment. Make her look familiar. Here it is. Holy land. Don't you think it's more important to deal with the current pirates first? Rodan smiled. Holy place? Is he Douglas Bullet? Sakaski looked back. He looked at the tall man who was walking towards this side step by step. Offspring of the devil. She knows. He was a newcomer in the Roger era, and he was very famous at that time. Just now. Shouldn't it be imprisoned in Impel Down? Although you are a woman. But I still want to remind you, don't lose your mind during the battle. A sigh. Bullet has already flashed to Sakaski like a ghost. Punch. Right in the mouth of her abdomen. Boom. There was a large hole around the navel, the size of a basketball. Basically, it occupies 2/3 of Sakasaki Lu's waist. But. Edge of the hole. A viscous-colored liquid spilled out. But this is not the expected blood, but hot magma. Bullet was startled, and instantly withdrew his hand. White gloves. The big hole has been burned through. Unarmed hardened fists were exposed. Damn it. Another Logia, seems to be the power of lava fruit? Etc. Isn't this a potential vice admiral ability in naval headquarters? Bullet frowned. Now. Seeing this scene in the distance, Rodan couldn't help shaking his head. This big guy, it's really not pity at all. Thinking. He shouted to Sakaski. You only have 1 hour, try your best to explode, it is best to hit him hard. Say ahead next time. Just in case, where is she taking a shower? This guy also summoned himself. Sakaski rolled his eyes at him, then raised his right fist and it was covered with magma. Dark Hound. Language fall. Bite quickly. Bullet's vision was filled with red fire. Boom. He hastily blocked with both arms, but was still sent flying hundreds of meters. In midair, all the clothes on his body were burned through. Finally on the way. It even smashed uncles and bushes, and finally hit a huge building. Only then can it stop at 0. The quality is very good. If it was replaced with a wall made of ordinary building materials, I am afraid that more than 10 walls will be penetrated. In the pit. Bullet was embedded in it with his hands and feet wide open. He coughed. Then suddenly burst out laughing. Very good. Very good. But trying to hit me hard, is not far off. Language fall. Bullet clasped his hands against the wall, his face showing the feeling of a wild wave. Medium bullet form. After handing over the battlefield to Sakaski, Rodan didn't intend to interfere with them. Bullet is strong, but he is not as strong as the one who has been practicing in Impel Down for more than 20 years. In this state, with the strength of Admiral, Sakaski is completely able to deal with it. Directly left the place. He has a chance to synchronize his abilities for 3 hours. The opportunity never came. Naturally it will not be synchronized now. Just a finishing touch at the end. Speaking of which, even Bullet was found. I'm getting more and more curious about who is behind the scenes. Rodan's eyes flickered. Walked towards the castle where the 5th old lady was. He had a hunch. The 5th old lady is definitely hiding something. Mystery man? Mysterious enough to pull Golden Lion and other floating super pirates together crazy? What do you think? Nothing is unreasonable. Speaking of Bullet alone, he is definitely not the kind of character who will cooperate. His goal. To be the existence that defeats and surpasses Roger. Top battle, when Impel is down. Blackbeard was so frightened that he broke into a cold sweat when he saw this guy, he didn't dare to take the initiative to provoke him. It is said to recruit more. Get Bullet to agree to a partnership? It was as difficult as climbing to the sky. Your Excellency, stop. Rodan walked. When approaching the castle, several figures of different heights descended. Just formed a circle around Rodan. There are 9 people. Clatter, there was a crisp sound. I saw 2 wooden clogs fell on the stone bricks. Look up. It's a man with a hat-shaped head. He holds 2 knives. Slowly turned around and faced Rodan. Excuse me. We are looking for another person, can you give me your name first? This word. Like looking for someone. Rodan wasn't in the mood to answer him. Because. He was completely confused by the scene in front of him. These people. All of them wore kimonos and stepped on clogs, and the 2 cats and dogs looked familiar. That's right. It's the cat and the dog standing upright. Isn't this acquaintance? The remaining. Even though I haven't seen it, I can guess it. It's clearly Wanakuna's Kinemon, Denjiro, Raizo Kawamatsu and others. And the man with the hat and hairstyle who just spoke out. Isn't that Kazuki Oden? That's it. That made Rodan more and more confused. Them. What are you doing here? Is there any connection? Why don't you stay in Wano Kuni to deal with Kaido during this time period, and come here? Come to fight? Rodan begins to doubt the Wano Kuni of this world. Is there an upgraded? That's why such an abnormal thing happened. Rodan coughed. I'm just passing by, don't worry about me. What should I do? Passing by. Then your excellency should be very familiar with this place. Can you take us to meet the highest authority here? Kazuki Oden didn't doubt him, seemed to simply believe it. The Red Sheath 9 heroes did not speak, but from the atmosphere. You can see their nervousness. This is the Holy Land Marie Joy's, the center of the world. And what they are doing now, it's hard to face it calmly. Sure. Rodan said in a relaxed tone. However, before that, can you tell me the purpose of your trip? Him. So curious. Red Sheath 9 heroes. No, Kurozumi Kanjuro was not there for some reason. It can only be called the 8 heroes. At this moment, after listening to Rodan's inquiry, the 8 people also looked at Kazuki Oden. We didn't come here with too much malice, it's just entrusted by others. Kazuki Oden paused, as if pondering something. Rodan didn't believe his words. No offense. No malice. What are you all doing with your knives and sullen faces? Come to compete. Are you free? Rodan was thinking. Do you want to summon another sissy character to settle them down? But Kazuki Oden plus the 8 heroes of the Red Sheath, relying on a 4-star character alone, it's not easy to deal with. Unless use the only 4.5 stars. Think like this. Suddenly several white shadows appeared in the distance. It's ACPO. Master Oden, people from world government are here. Kinemon paled in shock. Kazuki Oden has clenched the knife in his hand. After all, is there a fight? Just when the atmosphere was anxious, a shining golden light appeared in the sky. Hey, I can't let you hurt Lord I Am. The voice floated quietly. It is Kizaru. He got rid of those pirates and came straight for reinforcements. Master I Am. Hear this. The expressions of everyone in the Red Sheath and Kazuki Oden changed drastically. Then, Chi-Chi turned his head to look at Rodan with a strange look on his face. Good guy. The person they were looking for turned out to be far away and close at hand. Rodan also helped his forehead helplessly. This. Should I say it or not? What a godly assist. He also started to suspect that this Kizaru guy was really an undercover agent. But then again, Kizaru is here. The pressure on my side will be much less. After all, it is not too much to share the red scabbard, right? So. Rodan waved his hand. The sky was torn apart again. Come out. Gaiduo. Regardless of why Kazuki Oden is here. Purpose. Definitely impure. Thus, Rodan naturally didn't need to keep his hand. But Kazuki Oden, I really didn't expect you to come. He shook his head. There was a hint of expectation in the tone. Gaiduo. I'm an old acquaintance with Oden. I don't know what kind of sparks will come out when the two meet in another world. Kazuki Oden, concerned about the crack, heard the words. He frowned slightly. Suddenly there was a bad feeling. Oh, something big is coming. Kizaru hovers above. Inductive. It is also the clearest. No waiting. Almost in the blink of an eye. Hoo-hoo. A tall and slender woman in a feathery cloak flew down. Like a cannonball. It smashed viciously onto the stone bricks of Pangu City. Boom. There was a bang. A big hole appeared in the ground, and the commotion was very loud. Not waiting for the dust to dissipate, Gaiduo came out in January and came to the front of the magic sheath. Massive coercion crushed away. The Red Sheath 9 heroes? Kazuki. Oden? Guy held the alloy mace and made an extremely puzzled sound. The scene in front of me made her understand many things. Not surprisingly, she crossed again with Captain Rodan. Time travel has arrived. A world where Kazuki Oden is still alive? Hey, it's kind of familiar. Kizaru flew down. Scratched my scalp. Red Sheaths and Kazuki Oden were even more on the verge of a formidable enemy. Master Oden. She's dressed exactly like Kaido. What is it? Is this the person created by the fruit ability? No matter how suspicious they are, they can't think of it. It is Kaido. It is the 100% real guy duo after Pussy. Her breath is very dangerous. This is Kazuki Oden. Followed by Whitebeard, then Roger. A keen intuition developed over the years. Don't rely on knowledge. Instinct. Hey, I said. None of you know me? Kaido looked around until he saw Rodan. Only then did he smile. Guy girl, don't hold back. Kill Kazuki Oden one more time. Rodan gave the order. Ah, good. I'm also looking forward to Kazuki Oden's fighting power in this world. It doesn't look like it's the opposite. Kizaru breathed a sigh of relief. And it still helps. What are you talking about? Damn it, Are you treating us like dinner? Who are you? Denjiro pointed at Guy-do. He asked something that everyone was very curious about. Guy-duo. Kaido. Just like you. Who are you bluffing? That's right. Kaido has been beheaded by my Oden-sama. Together with that one, it won't exist at all. Xiaoju. Don't talk too much. A few people from Chishin glared at Kikunojo. The latter realized who had slipped his mouth, so he quickly covered his mouth, and showed a very apologetic expression. Huh? Killed? Whoa. What are you kidding? This kind of thing. Guy-duo K doesn't believe it at all, and he won't admit it. Those who are killed by people are not worthy of the title of 100 beasts. She stepped on one foot. After stepping on a crack in place, they galloped towards the red sheaths surrounding Rodan. Zzz, still in midair, the iron rod was surrounded by a layer of purple lightning. It is clear. She turned on Conqueror's Coil, also known as Conqueror's Coil. No, stop her. Too fast. Several people just waved the long knives in their hands. I felt a burst of extremely violent power coming from my body. Boom. Several people seemed to have been hit by a car at a speed of 350 yards. All flew upside down tens of meters away. Kazuki Oden's expression changed. Swinging Yan Mo and Tien Yu Zan at a high speed, he wrapped around armament Haki in an instant. Cut to the front. Oden two-sword style Togen Shirataki. When several red scabbards flew upside down, his double knives just hit Guy-duo's thunder-purple iron rod. There are many red sheaths. The remaining half have not contacted Guy-duo. See this scene. All follow support. As for Rodan, I don't know where they have been forgotten for a long time. Lord Oden. Hey, have you forgotten me? Kizaru's frivolous voice surrounded the ears of cats and dogs. Immediately afterwards, a few of them saw Kizaru formed by light granulation. Rubbing his chin with a small amount of stubble with his left hand, he swung his long leg and kicked him sideways. It looks very laid back. Boom! The golden light of the cross flashed out. Then, several people dented their bodies. Then it flew out at a faster speed. Clang! This golden chime. It's a collision on the other side. It was Guy-duo and Kazuki Oden fighting together. The sword flower fluttered down. Just a few seconds. The collision between the two was no less than 100 times. In the eyes of ordinary people, can't see clearly at all. At this time, the two were powerful, but they never retreated half a step. Kazuki Oden. It's getting more and more frightening. He found. This guy who calls himself Kaido and him hit it off. Every blow. They are all terrifyingly strong, not inferior to the real Kaido. Even the fighting styles are very similar. It's all straightforward. Even. There is a vague feeling that makes him feel that she is stronger. Backquote. Who the hell are you? Kazuki Oden, Your Majesty the Fool. Do you not recognize me at all? Guy twitched the corner of his mouth. A high-impact muscle-up that knocked Kazuki Oden back. Immediately afterwards, opened the dragon form without hesitation. Soaring horns. As well as the hard and thick dragon scales all over the body, Kazuki Oden has a very dazzling feeling. Since the captain asked me to deal with you earlier, then stop procrastinating. Boom, she opened her mouth and spit out the dragon's breath. Kazuki Oden was still amazed by Guy-duo's dragonoid form. Caught off guard. Can't avoid the minister. I had no choice but to slash straight ahead with two knives. Wow. The dragon's breath split. But Guy-duo also held the iron rod and came to the sky above. Zhang Sanshi Yin Naraku. Boom, the ground cracked and the grass and trees collapsed. Kazuki Oden was thrown flying, blood spilled from the corner of his mouth. He hastily blocked with both sabers. Armed color vented desperately. Even if he used his skills to slide out along that blow. There is no hard resistance, but still suffered some damage. Something's wrong. This speed and power. Kazuki Oden's heart. There has been a storm. The most important thing is not this, but the dragon human form of this woman and Kaido's phantom beast blue dragon form. It's exactly the same. What the hell is going on here? Did you eat Kaido's reality? But the speed of development is too fast. Even though Kazuki Oden has doubts in his heart. But now, there's simply not much thinking time in combat. Seriously deal with the present. That's the most important thing. Boom, Marijoy shuddered violently. Draws Kaido running towards Oden. I see. Kilometers away. A huge steel monster stood upright, punching the ground with one punch. As if targeting someone. But soon, the iron monster was hit in the chest by a huge magma fist. Step back a few steps in a dang 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 manner. The magma is Sakaski. I said where did she go, and she was summoned by the captain. Guy just watch it. He turned his head and looked into the distance. Odin's eyes were extremely cold. So, as an older sister, she has to start working hard. Thinking. Guy Duo then took out the gourd jug with the word, heaven, on his waist. Gulu Gulu began to drink. Kazuki Odin also stopped his figure, digging the blood from the corner of his mouth. Hold your swords tight. The phoenix eyes narrowed slightly. Drink wine? Everything happens for a reason and there must be a demon. Naturally, he would not think that the other party was drinking at this time. It's stupid doing stupid things, you are underestimating yourself. But no matter. It's all a gap now, and Kazuki Odin naturally won't let go of this opportunity. No matter who you are. Since you are blocking my way, you must be alert. Kazuki Odin has bruised veins on the back of his hand. He galloped forward at a decisive speed. Kazuki Odin is running high. The enemy in front of you. Definitely the strongest woman he has ever met. None of them. Now. Time seemed to slow down, and he suddenly remembered the evening a few days ago. At that time, dusk had just fallen. He keeps his promise with Kurozumi Orochi in the Flower City, which is to dance like a fool once a week, without clothes. Then, the people of Wanokuni still called him a fool as usual. People are angry. Call him shameless. Surrender to the Kurozumi serpent and dare not resist. Kazuki Odin didn't care. Even if no one understands me. But as long as everyone is alive and well, then everything is worth it. Intel. On the way back that evening, a man blocked him and said many things to himself. There is a promise and an agreement with Kurozumi Orochi. Everything is fake. Kazuki Odin naturally didn't believe it. That is the night. The mysterious man took him and sneaked into Kurozumi's house together. He heard it. When the other party made fun of himself like a clown, he and his cronies said it brazenly. Since then, the mentality has undergone a great change. He exploded. Then, the mysterious man spoke. Don't be impulsive. With Kurozumi Semimaru guarding Kurozumi Orochi day and night. You can't kill him now. Even if he happens to kill him, Kaido will not go out of Wanokuni easily. Because of this place, he is bound to get it. Only I can help you take back Wanokuni and bring life back to every corner of this soil. And the price? I just need you to do one thing for me. Kurozumi Semimaru is a barrier fruit ability user. With his protection, it is indeed difficult to kill a big snake. Besides, Kazuki Odin has already suffered a loss, but he didn't refute that person. But it's Wanokuna's business. Kazuki Odin instinctively wanted to refuse. On your own. Like a few years ago. The day I said goodbye to the Roger Pirates. He declined Rayleigh's offer, resolutely. Want to rely on their own to solve the problem. You know who doesn't force. Left that night. Leave a sentence. The so-called pirate morality cannot be applied to every pirate. Kazuki Odin came back to his senses, 2 arms curled up with thick muscles. Covered with shiny armed colors again. He glanced at Yanmo and Tien Yu Zan who had been with him all his life. When I looked up again, his eyes lit up with flames. He initially rejected the mysterious man's proposal. After he failed, if he is saved by him again, he can't help but refuse again. Call, what I owe you, pay it off today. Win or lose. Kazuki Odin leapt towards the dragon like Guy do. Tien Yu Zan and Yanmo, glittering in the bright sun. These 2 handles. He used the armed color emission to accumulate a lifetime of big sharp knives. Odin 2 swords style Taoyuan 10 fist. Kazuki Odin yelled. Double knife. Stacked together. A sharp blade that forms a cross. This is his dual knife technique. Whether it's lying down, or the 8 heroes in red sheaths who fought fiercely with Kizaru. They all cast their eyes on the past, fascinated. Boom, horizon. A blue arc was drawn. And on the opposite side of the blue arc, Duo, whose body is covered with scales, is at the peak of his state. Slightly drunk. Wrap all conquerors' hockey around the iron rod. Throw it forward. Drunken thunder, yin na law. The words fell. It was as if the thunder in the sky was really drawn down by her. Then follow the mace. Attack towards Odin like long twisted dragons. And Kazuki Odin's charged blow hit him with all his heart. Now. He felt a strong sense of crisis. but thinking of Wanokuni, his wife and children, and all his retainers who were waiting for him. A sense of responsibility and mission welled up in my heart. His back. There are still many concerns, so we must not lose. Kazuki Oden gritted his teeth, for a moment. Yan Mo and Tien Yu Zan released all emissions, and the Manic Conqueror's haki is also like Gaiduo. Wrapped around the double knives, in such a short time. The breakthrough has been raised to an unprecedented level. Kazuki Oden's eyes were bright. God help me too. Today. Kazuki Oden will surely slay dragons again. Far away. There was a cold cheer. Startled Kizaru. Turn around and look. It was discovered that Kinemon kept roaring excitedly, like a crazy little fan. The corner of his mouth couldn't help shaking. Brother, we are fighting, not watching a show. He shook his head. He continued to look up into the sky. Well, let's appreciate this trick first. He had a hunch. Even if you go up by yourself. Take this knife. If you don't avoid it in time, you will inevitably be injured. And not light. Above. Under the great sun. A bloody cross erupted suddenly and collided with a huge mace. Wrong. The two didn't collide at all, because it has not been contacted yet. The central point is tens of centimeters away, and a powerful wind blade and sword energy burst out. In an instant, it swept away nearly a kilometer away. Extremely powerful. It even overwhelmed the battle between Sakazuki and Bullet in the distance. The scene at this moment is extremely eye-catching. Even the battle rhythm of the Red Lane Pirates Marines couldn't help but slow down by half a beat. Below. Maobamushi and Inuarashi, together with the other Kainans, clenched their hands. Their master. Sure to win. Like that Yoruichi. Dragon. Even if it reappears, even if it is revived, so what? It will come to an end again. I don't know how long it lasted. The breath of the two gradually fell. The mace and the double knives rubbed violent sparks. Immediately afterwards, a loud sound of meat piercing sounded. Then a person fell from the sky and fell to the ground with a pop. It was a tattered dress. A man with disheveled hair lay down on the black floor tiles. Blood dripped from his forehead, as soon as he landed. Both feet trembled violently twice. It seems a little unwilling. Like a brave and invincible god of war who doesn't scream before the battle. Suddenly fell into the mortal world. Turned into a poor beggar. It is unacceptable. Generally sad. This contrast. The red scabbards almost didn't react, and they just froze for 2 seconds. Wait for Gaiduo to take advantage of the situation and fall. Holding an iron rod. Then after smashing Kazuki Oden's face, the red sheaths reacted. Shouted heart-piercingly. Even cry out loud. Master, Master Oden. Don't. This must be fake. Impossible. It must be an illusion. It's an illusion. Woo, Master Oden. Xiaoju wants to avenge you. Kai Sheath and the others started to go crazy. Kizaru also turned back from the shock, after gasping. Seeing the red sheath, everyone wants to go up. He quickly called out the Amazono Cloud Sword and stabbed Denjiro and the others. But there were still a few people he didn't stop. For example, Kikunojo, the big man in women's clothing who is biting his lip with tears rolling down his cheeks. She in armor. Jung resolutely rushed towards Gaiduo. Kinemon and Kawamatsu stood beside him. Rush forward together. Kikunojo may have been dazzled by anger, and rushed towards Kaido regardless of the difference in strength. Although Kinemon and Kawamatsu were also angry. Fury. But there is still a sliver of reason, the reason why he followed. It is to see Gaiduo's state at this time. Her hair is disheveled. Sweat dripped down his reddish face. I feel pity. Certainly. In the eyes of the two of them, it was a disgusting gesture, even if they looked ashamed. Let the two of them ignore the reason for coming forward. It's Gaiduo. After hitting Oden with a stick. He threw the mace aside and began to pant regardless of his image. The breath continued to fall. If this state doesn't kill Gaiduo, when will we have to wait? Kinemon had a runny nose. Pulling out the matching knife and using the foxfire flow, he slashed down towards Kaido's forehead. This is the situation. He wanted to say something, but found that his throat was hard. Can't speak at all. But excited heart. Can't hold back at all. That's all. Kinemon yelled in a way of farting through his unique trick. That is bullshit. Master Oden, we have avenged you. Just fart. He was pinched tightly by Guy's neck with one hand. Slash with 2 knives. But it was like cutting a diamond, touching a fierce spark. Useless. Look at Gaiduo again. It's already a teasing and sly look. Be cheated. Kinemon's pupils shrank. With the feeling of suffocation, he frantically slashed Guy's tender right arm like a lotus root with 2 knives. There was a crackling meal, but to no avail. Before dying, Kinemon wanted to say something last. But he couldn't open his mouth. I had no choice but to sandwich it between and speak in fart language, again. You lured us on purpose? Disgusting samurai. Guy Duo frowned, showing an extremely disgusted expression. Too disgusting. Is it difficult to keep your mouth shut and say a few words? To deal with you, I'm afraid it will be easy even if I'm about to exhaust myself. Guy snorted coldly. He squeezed Kinemon's neck a little more tightly. Shoot the bird. That's what he said. Kinemon regretted why he ran so fast. Let Kawamatsu and Kikunojo go first. He can't do that either. Let go of Kinemon. Hisong also came, and he came with a sword behind his back. Mie Nan Wu Chuan. The powerful slash that was as fast as a river landed precisely on Guy Duo. Wait for Hisong to stand up again to close the knife. Already from the front of Guy Duo, came behind. Before he could breathe a sigh of relief, his head suddenly tightened. Like being framed by iron hoops, then. Boom. He was knocked to the ground by Guy Duo. The skill is enough, but the power is too bad. On the other hand, Guy Duo. Except for a small opening in the dragon scale on the waist. Still nice to touch. Remnant snow scythe. Now. Kikunojo in light yellow armor. A series of continuous circular slashes were hacked at high altitude. Although it flew from a long distance, it has no shortage of power. Guy dealt with 1 to 3 very calmly. After temporarily solving Hesong. Her knowledge, which had been cultivated to the extreme, moved, and she had a premonition of what would happen next. Right hand cross, block Kinemon who is struggling hard. Replace Xiaoju's attack. And Kikunojo. Regretted it after splitting it out. I thought. His knife skills are so fast that Kaido can't react in time. But I never thought of it. Kaido, not only reacted. He also stopped Mr. Jin in front of him. No. He grabbed it in the air with his empty hand, showing an extremely remorseful look. Why? Why is he so impulsive? Pity. Covered water cannot be collected. Same. He couldn't take back the slash he sent out. Kinemon turned his head, feeling extremely cold in his heart. He has no time to use fart words to describe his state of mind at this moment. But. He moved his mouth twice, is an O-type. Like to say again. I dance. Whoa. A large amount of blood spattered out. After several ring-shaped chopping waves pulled over his head, they slashed on Guy Duo's chest with a spinning motion. Although extremely sharp, even steel can be cut. But for Guy Duo, just useless. At most 1 layer of scales was scraped off. Plop, Kinemon's head with long hair fell next to the body of Kazuki Oden. In the eyes. A posture of wanting to scold a mother remains. Boom. Kikunojo flew down. The mood also fell to the bottom. You're cunning, you're damned. His voice was crying. Cunning? Is it fair for you to be 3 against 1? Guy grinned. He still opened Kinemon's body casually. Take a big stride forward. Die. Kikunojo held the long sword and raised the strength in his heart. Frantically paddled forward. Boom, Kaido waved. Then he smashed half of his breastplate, and his body sank deeply into it. Neither man nor woman. Guy picked up Kikunojo, and at this moment his helmet was also broken to the ground. A full head of hair. Slender waist. But no one appreciates it. Kikunojo looks like a woman, but is actually a pure man. And the heart. Another woman. This seemed incongruous to Guy Duo. So, she reaches out. Xiaoju's wish was fulfilled. Crunch, together. The sound of something breaking. Ah. The extremely thin female voice resounded throughout the Holy Land. Xiaoju at this moment. That delicate and beautiful rosy face. With the scream just now. Already twisted into a ball. Not restored to its original beauty. Guy Duo said. Holding the gourd with the word, heaven, he continued to drink wine. Squint. It seems very comfortable. Speak the truth. Except for Kazuki Oden, everyone else is a mob. Come more. All vulnerable. Unfortunately, they still don't understand this truth. Wanokuni. Strange one after another, she was actually not pleasing to the eye from the very beginning. Let's just talk about the 9 heroes in the red sheath. One simulates talking with farts. One has the appearance of a kappa. There is still one. She remembered that it was the person whose face was painted like a ghost. It seems that he didn't come today? Not many normal ones anyway, it's all a mess. It's like a circus, full of combinations of cats and dogs. Guy stared at Kikunojo, who was clutching his crotch with a stern expression. Revealed. A self-confident gentle smile. From now on. You will be a real woman. Bastard. Let go of Xiaoju. Far away. A ninja Reizu with a crab-like hairstyle. See this scene. Shouting, showing extremely distressed tears. Little chrysanthemum. It must be painful now. Let him, who is a girl at heart, feel the pain that only boys can taste. Really, it's really hard for him. Lei Zhang hammered the ground with his eyes closed, tears dripping down his face. No, I want to rescue you, Xiaoju. My ninjutsu can be done daily. Lei Zhang gritted his teeth. Open your eyes. Force yourself to cheer up. Yes, Odin-sama and Kinemon are both dead. There are not many people left. Xiaoju, don't die. So he has to be strong. Run with Xiaoju and everyone. The idea just popped up. Just as Lei Zhang was about to leave, he heard a voice. It was a pain like a super lightning strike, he screamed. Lie back on the ground again. If there is an X-ray at this moment, it can be clearly seen. His lumbar spine has been broken into two halves, broken very thoroughly. Not surprisingly. In this life, it is difficult to get off the ground, so I can only use ninjutsu on the bed. What an admirable courage. Kizaru stepped on Lei Zhang with one foot, with a look of emotion on his face. Talking. He looked at Neko Mamushi and Inwarashi, as well as Denjiro and Ashura Doji. Very good. I can't get up for a while. The task of fighting criminals has been successfully completed, and Marine's justice can continue. Kizaru let out a breath. Today, it is also really dangerous. One monster after another emerges endlessly, it's really difficult. This sentence. It comes from the heart. A lot of pressure. If you let him face it directly, let's not talk about Golden Lion Bullet and others. Light as an Odin. It may be difficult to tell the winner after a long fight, far less relaxed than that woman. Rodan watched from a distance. Very good. Solved a Kazuki Odin, took faster than he thought. He looked at the 9 heroes in red sheaths who were all ambushed. Shook his head. You say you. Why do you have to follow? If Kurozumi Orochi is still there, then these vital forces that can play a role really no longer exist. Certainly. Kurozumi Orochi is most likely dead. This is his guess. After all, since Kazuki Odin was able to bring the red scabbards here, he must have solved his worries. And that mysterious man definitely can't get rid of the relationship. Boom, the roar made by the bullet grew louder. Guy girl, Sakaski can't solve it for a while. You go and help him. Good captain. Guy Duo didn't sloppy, and drank the last sip of the wine. Go straight to another battlefield, not quite right. Rodan looked away from him and looked at the towering castle behind. There was such a big movement. Above, there is no reaction at all? Tears lined Xiaoju's cheeks. The body was curled up into a ball, and the expression was pitiful, no longer that stubborn. Heart. No more flames of previous vengeance. Just hurts. Landslide and tsunami like tearing pain. Half an hour. His shrill screams became smaller and smaller. It was a hoarse voice. The lower body is better than before, but it still hurts like a fire. Zhu lost the most precious thing in a man. Well, although it was originally for Kikunojo. This gadget is not very useful, and usually only maintains the most basic functions. But the pain is here. Ha ha ha. Xiaoju, who was lying on the ground, laughed miserably twice. The fair face suddenly distorted, taking on an extremely delicate appearance. A series of blows. It made him unable to hold on any longer, and became mentally disturbed. At this moment, he held the long knife that was still warm by his side. Standing up unsteadily. Hands up. Since it's all broken, why not do it thoroughly? Ha 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 ha. Xiaoju smiled lightly. Then, as if emboldened for himself, the sound became louder and louder. His shiny ponytail fluttered in the breeze, as if he had made a decisive decision. That's right. Since it's all like this, just turn into a real woman with all your heart. Even if you can't. Get even closer. Crazy thoughts spread in Xiaoju's mind. Male from family. It is enough to have his brother and hide one person. Ah. Xiaoju closed her eyes, holding the knives and slashing down with all strength. Call out. The sound of the knife was sharp. tore the kimono with yellow petals, but when he was the last inch below, his knife still came to a standstill. Like a statue, not afraid anymore. But at the last moment, Xiaoju's reason regained a bit of clarity. Sky. What the hell is he doing? Call out. A golden light in the sky suddenly illuminated Xiaoju's cheek. Hey, brother who is not decisive at any point, let me help you. Kizaru pursed his lips slightly, and pulled out the Amakongan sword. As if joking. But in Xiaoju's ears, there was no such feeling at all. No. His throat just rested for a while. Shout out again. The voice is no longer as beautiful as before. A long time. Xiaoju, whose face was ashen, fell to the ground. Huang Yuan glanced at it, then withdrew his gaze again. These seriously injured criminals. There will be medics coming over for emergency treatment and restraints. It has nothing to do with him. Perusalino. Rodin's voice shook. Kizaru gave a jolt. It turned into a beam of light and quickly gathered in front of Rodan. Bow slightly. The posture is very low. Oh my lord, let me do as you please. Didn't you find out? Rodan glanced at a room in the castle behind him. Kizaru was a little puzzled. His observation Hockey didn't dare to investigate there casually. But the woman in front of him spoke, but he dared not disobey. Thinking. His knowledge have enveloped the top. Just for an instant. Kizaru restrained his careless expression. How about it? Rodan asked. His sense of knowledge was locked. It's just an instinct to feel that something is wrong above. Above. There is a terrible breath. Between rights. The fifth old lady stood quietly in front of the window, as if all the noise outside had nothing to do with them. Intruded from Golden Lion and World, Sengoku combined to block. Until bullet breaks in. Go straight to Rodan's figure. Their auras became extremely unstable, but they still held back their impulses. Until a fiery red shadow appeared, they relax completely. Sure enough, it's impossible for him to have a backup. Logia lava fruit has the same ability as Marine Vice Admiral Sakazuki, as definitely from that world. Fortunately, we are not impulsive. The fifth old woman felt lingering fear. They made a daring attempt. So Shin succeeded. Unexpectedly, this devil's descendant actually came. What really surprised me was that the lava fruit seemed to be suppressing bullet. No temptation, no hold back. Did you go all out when you came up? This style of play doesn't last very long. It's not right. The views of the five old ladies are basically the same. They are old and mature at their age. Pass a little. You can detect and analyze many things. That woman is in a hurry. Look over there. That's the man from Wanokuni, the second captain of the Whitebeard Pirates. The man who arrived with Roger and interpreted the historical text? Well, it's Kazuki Odin of the Kazuki clan. Damn it. Why did he come here? Is it because the war is not chaotic enough? Already blocked Rodan. The fifth old woman's gentle heart fluctuated. Bai Pao Niang glanced at her side, with anxiety in her eyes. Why haven't you contacted Zephyr? On no answer status. The fluffy girl is holding a phone bug, and her face is also very ugly. They call. Naturally, a part of the troops was drawn. Can now. The fleet over there hasn't reached Logue Town yet, so they can't be contacted. It's really disturbing. Look again, Pelusalino has already come. Zephyr must have learned about the situation. But now that he can't make it through, he must be delayed. Sure enough. He summoned another person. What is that, Kaido? That figure is very similar. Being transformed into a dragon man is indeed the ability of the green dragon of the phantom beast. The five old women were chattering, without the slightest demeanor and airs of the past. Squeak. At this time, the door between rights was opened. Who? The lady in white robe held the knife and turned her head first. The guard at the gate already fell to the ground at this moment. It's rare to see those in power of the world government. Language fall. A black leather shoe stepped in unceremoniously. A tall, thin man. A man with white braids wearing a large blood-red cloak came in. One inside. The atmosphere among the powers became extremely solidified. He shook his blood-red brows, leaning on a slender bat umbrella. Smile gracefully. Then he closed the door tenderly. It must be a surprise to see me. It was unexpected. But expected. The bald girl stared at him. Intelligence. Correct. Red Earl. Beloric Redfield has always hated alliances with others, so you will compromise. HMPH. Do you want to be kicked into impel down again? What, you alone? Do you want to deal with the 5 of us? The other 4 all turned around and looked directly at the Red Earl. Not at all inferior in momentum, it directly crushed the uninvited guest on the opposite side. It's not an alliance, it's just a promise. Redfield shook his head, and approached step by step. The 5 of you are still holding on. I didn't believe the rumors that you were seriously injured before. Now that I'm getting closer, I realize that what I said is true. Now I can easily defeat, even kill. He holds out his index finger. Shaking slightly, his demeanor and every move are very confident. The 5th old lady didn't say a word when she heard the words. But each of them flashed a bright light. Why, stop talking. Can I understand your silence as acquiescing? Redfield chuckled. The back of the hand holding the umbrella handle suddenly gathered several veins. If there is no last word, I will finish you. Boom. A horrible atmosphere like a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood enveloped the power. Now, Redfield's pupils were filled with a layer of blood like a fog. I didn't expect that in the end, I would solve the world government ruled by these 5 women. Redfield let out a foul breath, raised the handle of the umbrella. Squeak, suddenly. The door that was closed by Redfield just now was pulled away by a long distance. Redfield paused, looked behind. It was a middle-aged man with short hair and stubble. Yo. Did you come to the wrong room? The man pouted to himself and said something. Pretending to close the door. Sorry, you guys continue with. Say it. He closed the door. But how could the Red Earl do what he wanted? Wave the umbrella handle. With an umbrella and a sword. Swipe towards the door. Just this one. The air fluctuated suddenly, and the strong sword energy cut open the paper-like door. It's now. The 5th old lady's eyes widened. It was indeed a great loss of vitality. But the leak of the news, do you really think it was a natural leak? Then their world government is too useless. That's right. It's all about induction. It's nothing more than an external and internal cleansing. Redfield, do you really think we're settled? At this time, 5 dazzling stars have risen from under the 5 people. The light is turning. The instant the Red Earl slashed back, it turned to ultimate. Together. Solve it. What? Redfield's eyelids twitched. This moment, he was surprised to find that he couldn't move. As if being naturally suppressed by the opponent. Certainly, it only takes a few seconds to break free. But it's a few seconds, but it is very crucial, enough to determine the final victory. It will also pose a great threat to his life. Boom. A holy starlight condensed in front of Wu Lao Niang. It went unexpectedly well. If you hadn't eaten that fruit, maybe the suppression wouldn't be so deep. They are tall and expressionless, and Redfield's face was hard to see ultimate. These guys. How do you know he ate the fruit? Obviously. This is what happened after impel down. Could it be? Did the CPO find out? Or did he fall into a trap and all this was a trap aimed at himself? But it doesn't make sense either. For a while. Redfield thought a lot, but the other side couldn't wait. Use holy flames. To purify your sins, the 5th old lady whispered. It completely released the huge starlight that enveloped the entire room. No. Redfield's eyes were stabbed so hard that he couldn't open them. The body also began to spontaneously combust. Unwilling. Boom. Just when Xingmang was less than 1 meter away from Redfield. A mass of ultimate darkness. It turned into an eggshell and enveloped him in it. Hoo-hoo, the starlight hit the darkness smoothly. Pity. But it was all absorbed. What happened? This scene. The 5th old lady looked pale for a long time, and the white-robed lady even fell down on the sofa. Their carefully prepared combined attack was actually so easily resolved? Now. I really have no strength to fight anymore. Darkness. Could it be? Several people. As if guessing something, he clenched his fists. Call. The darkness disappears. A strong man was revealed. His hair. Crazy as Medusa's hair, him at the moment. Standing in front of the Red Earl, he put his hands on his hips and showed a wicked smile. Why? Why are you so desperate? Isn't there me here? Thick voice. Redfield was relieved, and the spontaneous combustion phenomenon on his body gradually disappeared. I said. Your help is no longer needed, he responded bluntly. Hey, can you stand like this without me? The strong man spread his hands out. Subsequently. A move in my heart. Suddenly looked to the back. 5 elders have run out of strength, now. It's time to deal with the last one. The man said indifferently, not caring about Wu Lao Niang's liver-like complexion at all. You shouldn't be alive. The weak 5. Whether physically or mentally, I felt a burst of despair. No wonder you found the golden lion. The blonde woman leaned on the wall, panting heavily. But this still doesn't make sense. How the world, Kazuki Oden, bullet allied themselves with you. Simply releasing them from Impel Down is never enough. Not only she understands. The rest of the 4 elders also understood. Rox D. Gibble. The bald girl shouted. Pirates will never be on the stage. Language fall. A golden light flashed from outside the dilapidated door. In front of the door. Call out. The sound of breaking the air sounded. The Red Earl just swiped the handle of the umbrella, as if predicting it would fall in advance. Just interrupted Kizaru's marching dropline. Young man, I didn't say to let you in. Master 5 elders. Kizaru rolls over. After buffering for a while, he pulled out the lightsaber, raised his chin and said, I will do my best to rescue you. It's over. The 5 old women covered their foreheads, and then looked closer and closer. This suspected Rox man. The white-robed lady pinched her brows. You're not Rox, are you? Oh, it's true that the 5 elders are so calm when the situation is imminent. But you don't need to know that much. Rox smiled sassily. After all, they are about to die. Get rid of the 5 of you, and I am. Then the world government will be mine. He said. Be close to the 5th old woman. I'm curious. You who formed the world government 800 years ago, are your ancestors. Just like me now, will I also be a pirate group? 1. The most evil and powerful pirate group wearing the world government hat. These words. It made Wu Lao Niang's complexion even more ugly. Actually. Describe the world government as a pirate? This is for them. What a shame. Boom. A large hole was blasted out of the ceiling made of top-notch materials. The Red Earl followed suit. Obvious. Kizaru fell into the lower stack. Time is running out. You. Return to darkness. Rox takes a look. Turn around. One hand pressed on the floor tiles. Endless darkness vented from the palm of his hand and gathered under Wu Laonang's body. 5 people. Started to sink into the ground slowly. It's quite lively. The door. A female voice sounded like a wind chime. Rox frowned. Turned around. The smile became a little strange. Sure enough, as I expected, the person who enjoys the pinnacle of world power is also a woman. It's a pity to solve it like this. Tisk tisk tisk. He looked at it presumptuously. Pity. Rodan was shrouded in shadow, he couldn't see anything clearly. Rox suddenly sighed. If it's not that time is running out, I really want to taste. The taste of the world's #1 princess. Bold. How dare you speak to Lord I Am like that? The 5th old lady said angrily. I don't struggle even if I'm halfway through. But he frequently casts his eyes at Rodan, and his eyes for help are very shining. He almost didn't stick the words, come and save me, on his forehead. Are you Rox? Rodan suddenly felt a little nauseous. This guy. What are you thinking about? It actually made him feel shuddering. Certainly. It does not matter. Rox should have died a long time ago. Could it be that the trajectory of this world is different? Wrong. Judging from the tone of Wu Lao Niang, she must be dead. Appear now. Judging from the reactions of the 5 people, it was as if they had met a real person. Mystery man. Is it him? So, what the hell is going on? Could it be? Is it a time traveler? Otherwise, how to explain that Rox is still alive and has done such a series of weird things? Just look at it from Kazuki Oden. To be able to pull people into the pirate ship must have dealt with Wano Kuni in advance. Can't do it well. There are no Kaidos in this world anymore. Wano Kuni is closed to the outside world, and all news cannot be revealed. Even what Roger Whitebeard didn't know, was known by this suspected Rox. Then. Also managed to help out Kazuki Oden. Perhaps. Didn't know the news at all. Everything. Are they all prophets? Rodan thought more and more. The more I think about it, the more frightened I feel. And Golden Lion et al. Rodan asked directly in his heart. System, is that guy a time traveler? Ding, it cannot be traced back. Then does he have a system? This system is unique. What about other types of systems? Temporarily unsure. Rodan, who got an ambiguous answer, didn't intend to go any further. Ask. It is estimated that there is no result. Since this is the case, Why don't you just do it directly? Won't everything be gone if you kill it? System. Perform strength synchronization. Rodan Hart. Strength synchronization. If the synchronization is successful, you will maintain your strength normally for 3 hours. The system language falls. Rodan felt a familiar force gushing out of his body. Just like volcanic eruptions and asteroids hitting planets are as intense. Transparent fruit, silent fruit, thunder fruit, poison fruit. For a moment, 4 completely different strange powers merged into Rodan's body. The physique is also constantly improving inch by inch. Or restoring. A dark blue light flickered across Rodan's eyes. Dark fruit? The bane of all fruits? Hee. Speaking of which, he hasn't fought in person yet. Blackbeard was also killed by Bai Huniang before. So he didn't get involved much this time. You can try it. The time for talking to the system and transmitting strength seems to be a long time. Actually, that is an instant thing, and at this time. Rocks on the opposite side also sensed an extremely majestic aura. It was rolling towards him. Very well, that's what makes it interesting. The other side. Over the castle. The Red Earl is holding a cane umbrella in one hand, and is engaged in a fierce confrontation with Kizaru. Young man, fruit alone is not enough. There was a flash of blood. Redfield flashed to Kizaru in an instant, and slashed down with a suppressive physical advantage. Kizaru hastily shifted into gear. Clang _. The shining long sword collided with the blood-red umbrella. Former. Not to mention not having the slightest advantage, and being suppressed by the latter a little bit. Kizaru smacked his mouth, a little tired. Senior, you. The voice did not fall. Laidfield pressed down with both arms, and his strength suddenly increased. Chop Kizaru flying. Call Kizaru is smart. The moment it couldn't bear it, it turned into a flash of light. Take advantage of the trend and fall down. Boom. A large castle inhabited by celestial dragons has been smashed down. Call out. Kizaru flashed thousands of meters away. I have lingering fears. What a horrible old monster. Gymnastics. It is so strong that there is no limit, and it has been suppressing him from the beginning to now. Not a single flaw in the other party could be found. If Sengoku is here, it will give a very high evaluation in the first time. Redfield. This lonely red, it is an existence that can keep pace with Roger and Whitebeard by only one person. Certainly, this is Sengoku's take. Garp said that Redfield is not enough to leave a name in history, and thinks that Sengoku exaggerated a lot. But it cannot be denied in any case, lonely red. Very powerful. Far from being an existence that Kizaru can fight against today. Sparkling fruit gives you unrivaled speed, not to distract you. Yi sighed. Kizaru's face changed drastically, and he slashed behind him with Amazono's sword. Boom, Kizaru flew upside down again. It does have the power to move at the speed of light. But that is a straight line movement within the field of vision, realized by elementalization. In other words, gut. In that state, it can only be used as the most basic movement. It can't cause any attack power to the outside world. For example, he can move to others at the speed of light, but he does not need to be materialized if he wants to attack them. That moment. That is the most fatal flaw of the sparkling fruit ability. Maybe ordinary pirates can't react. But it is different for those who have advanced knowledge, and even reached the ultimate level. Them. Is able to seize this opportunity, thus counter-attacking. To say the most difficult place. That is, the level of Kizaru's personal fighting spirit. If low. People want to run away. That is, no one can stop it, and there is no way to stay. But if you don't run, you will lose to this old guy sooner or later. Forget it. If you can delay a point, it is a point. Kizaru's light particle disappears while flying backwards. Immediately afterwards, the two of them exchanged blows no less than thousands of times in a snap of their fingers. Boom, Kizaru hit a deep hole and fell into. Not just chest pains. The throat is still sweet. A trace of blood overflowed from the corner of his mouth. Also. This time the clothes were also dirty, looking very embarrassed and miserable. Redfield approached. With a confident smile, he waved his umbrella stick high. You are still far behind. Yeah. The umbrella handle enlarged in Kizaru's sight, and a golden light flashed in his eyes. At this time, a slender naginata came across. Clang, Jin Ming sounded. Redfield suddenly turned his sword and used his umbrella to block it in time. B. Both feet scratched the ground and backed up dozens of steps before barely stopping. Hands. Also has a heavy numbness. This knife. There is still this power, by Mian? Redfield showed a very surprised look. He looked up. But he was almost staggered, tripped by himself and fell to the ground. What the hell, when did Whitebeard's pecs get so choppy? He could barely maintain the image of the jazz. Call. It's not right. Redfield breathed violently and shook his head slightly. Take a closer look. Just discovered. The face and build are similar to Whitebeard, the same blonde hair. But in terms of appearance, how does it look? Why is it so pretty? Isn't this Whitebeard? He was a little surprised. Far away. Kizaru, who was just lying in the deep pit, saw a blast of air above his head, and then Redfield was pushed back. He subconsciously breathed a sigh of relief. Saved. Certainly. Even without this accident, Redfield couldn't kill himself. Could it be that Mr. Zephyr and the others are back? Kizaru pouted and pawed at the hole. Look around. First glance, he showed the same expression as Redfield. Gu la la la. Why are you staring at my mother so directly? White Hu Niang grinned. The symbolic crescent mustache made Kizaru and Redfield feel hot eyes. The latter two looked at each other. All of them were dumbfounded. At this point, the two reached a consensus. Leaderfield, let my mother watch you as a man. You still have some energy left. White Hu Niang grinned. He leapt into the sky with a big stride, and slashed out with a huge pressure. Boom, a white light rises from its blade. White Hu Niang waved in the air. Immediately afterwards, the original white light of tens of meters fell towards Ladefield. Danger. Kizaru hastily moved away from Bai Hu Niang's face, and this thought flashed through his mind almost instantly. Escape. Tens of meters away. Redfield's eyelids twitched crazily, a sign of madness. But the next second, he showed the same crazy fighting spirit. The long-lost sense of oppression. Redfield gave a fishy smile, bleeding all over his body. Began to rapidly metamorphose, but if you wait for the full state, there will be too little time. So, in the semi-transformed state, he cut a bloody knife upwards. This knife. It's his all-out effort. Tear. Whoosh, boom. The moment the two attacks came into contact, the entire holy land of Marie Joyce trembled. The moment of collision. The rolling sound waves then vented out, and large chunks of soil in the holy land began to disintegrate. The power that erupted was as terrifying as opening up the world. Let the servants hiding somewhere look terrified and run around endlessly. Such a fight. To outsiders, it is no longer a battle material for human beings. But unfortunately, the two are only mortal bodies, and they have achieved this step. It's incredible. Now, Marie-Joy is shaking. But Lairfield smiled happily, holding the stick knife with his left hand. Hold it with both hands instead. There is an uncontrollable fighting spirit in his eyes. Ha 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 ha, happy. The power of this woman. But it's too familiar to him. Isn't this the most familiar shock fruit in Paramecia? How can there be people with the same fruit ability? Whitebeard is dead. No, he is so strong that it is impossible for anyone to defeat him head-on. Besides, he is a woman. During the battle, these two thoughts just passed through my mind. Redfield forcibly suppressed it. Now is not the time to be distracted. Opposite strength. No matter in terms of strength or speed, he is no weaker than the normal him. Doubt what? You can get the answer by defeating the opponent, there is no need to think about it. Read this. Redfield has completely transformed into a half-man, half-bat look. Body. From close to old age, he has recovered to a middle-aged state, whether it is combat experience or strength. This is when he is at his strongest. After swallowing this bat fruit phantom beast vampire form, he will only become stronger. While the aftermath has not yet dissipated, puff. Redfield volleyed a little with one foot. Move down quickly. There are streaks of red silhouettes drawn in the air, and it is impossible to distinguish the figure with the naked eye. Call _ suddenly. A hurricane is coming. Redfield had already flashed over the white-bearded lady. You're amazing. For making me hold an umbrella with both hands. It's just that you are so strong. Why do you need to be a thug for others? Seeing that he was unmoved, Redfield smiled evilly. The bat arrives. The words have not yet fallen. His stick knife wrapped around Hockey and slashed down. Vaguely. It seemed that dozens of blood-colored bats came biting wildly with grinning sharp beaks. A gleam of fairness flashed in Bai Hu Niang's pupils, and a streak of gilt black was dyed in the right hand holding the naginata. Immediately afterwards, the violent black light twines up like a lion majesty. As soon as Bai Hunang's muscles were followed by one hand, she moved up precisely with one hand. Bang! The ear-piercing buzzing sounded. Fantastic bats are shaken apart, and this sound. A bronze bell hundreds of meters away was hit by a meteorite from the sky and spread to Marie Joy's. Get close to the sea of clouds under Sky Island. ZZZ below. Umbrella Sword and Naginata touched each other and began to fight slightly. After a stalemate for a while, Redfield's complexion began to become more exciting. He felt that what he was fighting against was a prehistoric beast. She. Not to mention blocking this blow, and using one arm. Redfield's thoughts turned sharply, and Bai Hu Niang grinned with a crescent mustache. You didn't use your full strength before, but you thought, I just showed my full strength? Hey, don't take yourself for granted. White Hu Niang grabbed it with her left hand. The trembling Naginata suddenly stabilized, drank. He was sent flying by Redfield, hoo hoo hoo. This is the sound of the wind being stirred. I saw Bai Huniang spinning the Naginata rapidly with both hands, performing a simple dance of the Naginata. Follow the traces in the stored power. Swipe towards Redfield's flying figure. Buzz. Except Dao Lang. Along with it comes the extreme power of shock fruit. During the inverted flight, Redfield just wanted to make a move, but felt that the space seemed to be frozen. Extremely difficult. However, he still exerted all his strength to strike the last knife. Big bat full state. Now. The surrounding hundreds of meters seemed to have become a red Shira field. Dao Qi just shot. It turned into a huge blood-colored bat, and rushed forward with an indomitable and fierce attitude. Can the situation be reversed? Just look at this final blow. And after this knife, Redfield's youthful complexion was also wrinkled again. A lot older. Lips also became bloodless. Obvious. After this trick was used, it caused a certain load on him. But, it's all worth it. Redfield forced a smile. He respects the strong men of this era, such as Roger and Whitebeard and others. Including the strong woman who fought against him and ate the shock fruit in front of him. But respect. It does not mean that in the battle between the two sides. He will keep it. Come on, try to take this gorgeous blow. Redfield hangs in the air, arms raised high. Now. The wine-red robe flapped back, matching his momentum. He really looks like a prince. Well, that's right. So did he. Win or lose. Compelling always has to be full, right? Is this the lonely sky? What a powerful coercion. It is said that he fought Marshal Kong for several days and nights, and finally won with a slight advantage. It's terrible. Did he come naturally? Damn it. Now both Vice Admiral Garp and Sengoku Admiral are being held back. That over there. Who is that over there? Is there an internal strife? It's not our people. Like Whitebeard. The Holy Land shook and subsided. The Marines on the high ground barely stood still and watched the situation behind them in horror. The pirates were also stunned. Infighting? Joke. They didn't know the woman who appeared out of nowhere, and no one greeted them. Now it's up to the Red Earl. There is a high probability that they are not one of them. This is still a ghost of infighting. Wait. Over there. The Devil's successor, under siege, will he be defeated eventually? Great, there is hope. Damn it, how could this happen? Battle situation. It's getting more and more confusing. And Marine and pirates were also making noise with each other. Fight together again. At the same time. Front top. What gave you confidence? Confidence can beat my old lady. White Hu Niang holds a knife in her left hand. With overwhelming power mixed with his right hand, he punched out from the air. Silala, the sound of the mirror shattering sounded. The giant bat in front of it paused and began to gradually shatter. But there was still a slight smile on the corner of Redfield's mouth. As if responding to him. The moment the broken bats scattered, they turned into countless small bats, and merged with each other as they moved rapidly. See this scene. Bai Huniang raised her eyebrows, but she didn't panic. He threw a few punches again. Only. After broken. Without exception, the blood bats rejoined together at an extremely fast speed. Seeing as about to approach. The smell of blood rushed to his face. Bai Hu Niang's eyes also narrowed, and she felt a bit troublesome. Redfield. As expected of an old guy, but. If this makes her helpless, it is absolutely impossible. The strong are not afraid of any challenge. White Hu Niang's eyes flickered. Naginata. It turned into the darkness of ultimate again, followed by crackling thunder and lightning. Conquerors winding. Full power on. In the southeast of Marie Joy's, it is no longer as prosperous as it used to be. Everywhere seen, it was all ruins and dust. Silhouette. I can't even see a single one. Clatter. Suddenly. A huge stone tens of meters long trembled slightly. Immediately afterwards, the entire boulder was lifted up. Clatter. A light brown broken boot stepped on a piece of gravel. His blonde hair was disheveled. Face. It is also stained with the gray stains of the tragic war. The bottom is military trousers. The jacket is gone. Only the exposed pectoral and back muscles. This person. It is the descendant of the devil that the pirates discussed earlier. After being shot down, his large bullet form was forcibly touched. Can only reveal the original body. Cough cough. Bullet coughed twice, but quickly looked ahead. Confidence and a bright smile are restored. Do you think you're going to get me? Say it. He clenched his fists. The rich hockey is released from the forehead, sweeping the whole body in an instant. Whole body. Glowing blue color armament hockey. Even the eyes. It also turned into the blood red color of ultimate, just like a devil from hell. This. It is also one of the reasons why he is called the devil's heir. Being alone all the time has made me stronger and stronger, until I defeat Roger and become the real One Piece. Bullet talked and walked. Coercion. It is climbing steadily. And with this kind of power, I will definitely become the strongest man in the world. He stopped suddenly and roared to the sky, when I bowed my head again. I'm going to kill them both with my bare hands. Walking alone, with the golden lion? Oh lol 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 lol, it's ridiculous, only being the strongest man in the world. That's the only virtue. Don't you dare to include women in it? Sakazuki and Gaiduo walked side by side, appeared 100 meters ahead of Bullet. Bullet heard the words. He staggered and almost fell to the ground. This is. What fairy response? With Golden Lion and others, that has his own special reasons. As for the strongest man, what's wrong with this? Female. Isn't it inherently weaker than men? After becoming the strongest man, will there be more powerful women? Bullet didn't know how to answer them, and after a few seconds of stunned, he didn't think much about it. He clenched his fists and said, HMPH, the strong never take advantage of words. Say it. He burst out like a rocket. Just blink. Then disappeared without a trace, when found again. It has come to the sky above Sakazuki and Gaiduo. Die. House of Deceit. It looks like one punch at a time. Like. Only one person will kill both girls. After a while. Blood was dripping from the corner of Bullet's mouth, and his figure was shaking and he couldn't stand still. I'm not invincible. I'm going to be the real most. Peeved, Bullet's eyeballs bulged, and the burnt pectoral muscle wound deepened again. But then, his eyes regained focus, and his body still stood firm and did not fall down. It's boring. Boom, at last. A shiny mace slammed down, and Bullet lost consciousness when his eyes went dark. So far. Along with Kazuki Oden, the bullets also fell. Sakazuki withdrew his eyes and looked at Guy, who was holding a mace. We're running out of time for the two of us. There are only 10 minutes left. You go and Whitebeard to deal with Redfield, and I'll help him. Huh? Why didn't I help the captain? Guy frowned. But Sakazuki ignored her, and turned into a splash of magma. Then follow the route. Fast forward, relying on yourself to come early. Guy looked at her magma pavement, and exhaled from Chong's nose unhappily. But she didn't delay or struggle with anything. Captain's task. That's the most important thing. Redfield is very powerful, and it is difficult for Bai Hu Niang to win in a short time. So only went by myself. The winning rate will be high. At that time, killing the reinforcement captain together is the best solution. Read this. Gaiduo was about to leave. The color of knowledge and knowledge predicted the sky above. She looks up. As expected. In a few seconds, a blood-red figure fell onto the sky. After that, there is also a woman with a naginata. Well, it's a coincidence. One is flying upside down. One is chasing. Obviously. Redfield fell into a disadvantage at this time, but still leaned towards her. That. There is nothing more to say. Guy twisted his neck, maintaining her dragon figure. Hold the club with both hands and make a golfing motion. Army T Lalong Shengjun. The voice fell. The Conqueror's hockey was wrapped around this metallic iron rod. Immediately afterwards, Tyrod's head suddenly rose. It swelled to nearly 10 meters. A weapon like a giant meteor hammer. Boom. She mobilized her whole body strength from her waist, and hit this blow regardless of the consumption. The last 10 minutes. There is indeed no need to save energy. At the same time, seeing this, the white beard lady above unceremoniously slashed at Ladefield below. So far, the upper and lower attacks wrapped around Redfield like a meat clip. Make it very uncomfortable. No, it's not over yet. Redfield growled. Some blood fog came out of the pale skin, and even the 7 flesh overflowed with blood. The overload exploded. What to do is not to fight back, but to use the fastest speed to escape from the attack range of the two of them. Yes. He gave up resistance, at least for the purpose of jumping at this stage. In fact, it's not enough if you don't do this. Because he knows. I can no longer withstand the simultaneous attacks of the two people. Previously. Just Bai Hunyang is enough to make him choked up, and now he has added an equally powerful duo. Don't hide, it can only die. Redfield moved quickly, trying his best to dodge the blow. If replaced by Kizaru, there is no such trouble at all, under the condition that the knowledge are predicted in advance. Almost no attack can hit him. Boom. A sonic boom sounded from midair. Center, the mace and the naginata struck and collided. Middle. A blood mist exploded. Immediately afterwards. You can see half of the intact blood-colored figure spurting out. That's right. It's half. The right half of the arm and thighs seemed to be evaporated out of thin air, and it disappeared completely. Very miserable. Even if it is Redfield with high willpower. There was also a shrill scream, his goal. Not to mention that it was only half completed, the price paid was actually so painful. An unprecedented sense of despair spread from the bottom of his heart. Where do you want to go? In the blink of an eye, Guy Hualong crossed his legs in the sky and opened his huge crocodile mouth. Hoo-hoo, the blazing hot breath frantically condensed in the mouth. Dragon breath. Boom. The sky was filled with a fiery red cloud. It's not over yet. After the dragon's breath spewed out, countless invisible wind blades flew out of the crocodile's mouth. Put Redfield's escape somewhere, totally covered. Backquote, the proof that you stay in this world will disappear completely in the future. Sensing the breath of extinction ahead, Guy duoed Dragon Body. It also began to become nothingness, without him. It's my time. I'll leave it to you. Guy made the last sentence. Then disappeared. Same moment. At the very center of Pangu City, it has already turned into a sea of magma. Around. They were filled with burning hot and anxious feelings. Several giant lava hands grabbed towards a figure, and they were about to catch it. Giant hand. It's like a loss of motivation. It collapsed. Rox, who was still a few meters away, looked calm. But heart. It's already numb. Although I don't know why the two enemies disappeared, but their side is even more excessive. Go straight to 3. And young. Basically, it is determined to lose the ability to fight, and even life may not be preserved. Damn it. A vein appeared on Rox's forehead. Plan. It should be seamless. Why? Why does this error occur? Call. There was a scream. 3 dark purple poisonous dragons rushed from above. Rox flashed quickly, and a black wall gushed out behind him with one hand. Powerful attraction. He sucked the 3 poisonous dragons sideways, trying to start pulling them into the black abyss. Your attack is useless to me. Darkness, but an existence that can devour everything. Rox put his mouth on the gun. Yeah, not alone. Rox's expression tightened, and a voice sounded beside his ear. Zzz. The gorgeous purple lightning began to erupt. In a blink. That's a distance of hundreds of kilometers. As if. Turned into a giant electric field. The other side. Kizaru escorts the 5 old ladies to a special basement made for celestial dragons. Here. Use of the strongest materials as barriers. Don't think about opening a hole in the earthquake in a short time. Very safe. Following the deaths of Devil's Heir, Bullet and Lonely Redfield. Under the guidance of Marine. The pirates' offensive wave after wave began to weaken. How can it be? Bullet and Redfield are defeated. How is that possible? They are super pirates who have shocked the sea. What kind of monster defeated them? How did you not know that there was such a powerful marine? Earthquakes and dragons. What the hell is going on here? What's going on? Run, run. We have no chance. The pirates on the Holy Land started to riot. Unlike the previous excitement, this time they all lost motivation. To bury your head is to run. Some people squeezed along the only elevator. Some people see nothing. Then he climbed down towards Marie Joy's, which is the rocky area of Red 10 continent. These elite pirates from New World, it seemed rushed and embarrassed at the moment. And this run. Then the army was defeated like a mountain. Phew, this is the case in the Holy Land, Red Lane. Very messy. The tragedy surpassed that of the Holy Land, and the pirates screamed and roared one by one. Killed wave after wave of marine, until they saw the companions who hurried down from above and were mercilessly killed by marine. Immediately became restless. What happened? What the hell is going on here? Hey, the top is too useless, isn't it? Destroyed? It's a shame that we beat them to death. Are they trash? What a waste of our efforts. Damn it, I don't see any fighting spirit. How did the higher up do it? Obviously, they don't understand the situation. Although the vibrations above were very intense wave after wave. But no matter how they can't think of it. Bullet and Redfield will lose, and lose so fast. Above. A few powerful pirates swooped down sporadically, seeing the faces and roars of their companions. Quickly explained aloud. That's not it, run away. They are all monsters, they are all monsters. They are not something we can defeat at all. Both Bullet and the Lone Red are defeated. If we don't leave, we are just targets. Each of them said a sentence, some people. But he said without saying a word, and ran desperately to the ships in the port. In his heart, he secretly scolded these idiots who came down for talking too much. Gu himself ran for his life. Wouldn't it be nice to let these unknowing people get in the way? Don't need so many things. Now. The noise in the red alley suddenly subsided. What are you saying? Ahead. One of the pirates with a red scarf on his head didn't seem to hear clearly. Asked again aloud. Pity. What greeted him was a ruthless machete. Maid, get out. Get in the way of lousy. After the first pirate rushed forward with a knife, he cursed and continued to run forward. And the news of the defeat above, it's spreading like a plague. A similar scene happened. Pirates started to fall apart. Marine morale is suddenly shaken. Brothers, work hard. Get rid of these evils. Oh. A shout of encouragement. The scene immediately reversed. At the same time, far above, around dozens of floating sky islands, a golden figure shuttled back and forth. His golden hair is as mighty as a lion. Just this lion. At this time, he encountered an equally terrifying opponent, which made him anxious for a short time. Boom. Golden lion Shiki slashes and cuts. Suddenly. He made a move. Looking in the direction of the Holy Land, the golden brows could not help but wrinkle. What are they doing? He murmured. Stature. Fly forward quickly. A fist wrapped in thick hockey flew towards him, blowing him back again. Ha, Shiki. It seems that the general trend of you pirates is over. Stay out of my way, Garp. Golden Lion stared at the other party in the air. Don't you notice something is wrong? Just those few forces, he couldn't be more familiar. Shock. Clearly the power of Whitebeard. Can Marine have it? And the blue long dragon just now is clearly Kaido, okay? That's not from your Marine, you. Are you so relieved? Well, you don't need to worry about Shiki. Garp suppresses a smile. Previously. Answer the phone bug in Sengoku, before the war begins. Then he heard the 5 elders order. No matter what happens after the battle, don't make a fuss. Everything. They are all ready. Just follow the original deployment. That is, block the vanguard. Today's Golden Lion and World, it seems you know something. Golden Lion narrowed his eyes slightly. Hold 2 famous knives and come out with great momentum. At least. That man is not defeated yet, and this time. He won't give up easily until the end. Thinking. He looked eastward with a feeling, but see. World Destroyer World. Under Sengoku's turbulent offensive, they have gradually fallen into a disadvantage since they were evenly matched. At last. With a boom, it hit a giant meteorite hundreds of meters long. HMPH, is this guy dying? Golden Lion gritted his teeth. Condition. Not good. His teammates fell one by one, and he obviously couldn't handle it alone. Just when I was thinking about it. World suddenly came out of the pit, and an acceleration step flashed under a small island. Put your hands on it. After making a dragging pose, he showed an extremely crazy look. Golden Lion's heart skipped a beat. Take the initiative to fly to him. World, you want to? That's right, Lousy will enlarge the island 100 times. In this way. World government will definitely not exist, ha. And this process requires your cooperation. Use your lion fruit's ability to throw it. So now, quickly cover me, World roared. Madness exerts power on this island above. Golden Lion didn't care about his tone. After all, this is the time. Are you sure you want to do this? Luke is not up there. Do you want to die with him? Rocks? Ha ha ha. Maybe you really want to help him. Don't be so childish, Shiki. I don't believe you. World opened his mouth wide and said in a hurry, quick. Garp Sengoku is coming, help me block them. Shiki was silent for a second when he heard this. Subsequently, both swords shine. Slash in the direction of the world. This hit. Let the souls of the world die. Even the color of knowledge can't be used. You. Hush. When he swung halfway, Golden Lion grinned, and the two sabers turned suddenly. Suddenly cut towards the back. That is the direction of Sengoku and Garp 100 meters away. Then it collided with a shockwave and cancelled it. There was a trace of cold sweat on World's forehead. You scared Lousy to death. This guy. Are you not afraid of interrupting your spellcasting? Do not disappoint me. Golden Lion smiled faintly. He glanced back at him, then flew forward. Soon. The three in front started fighting. Old stuff. World cursed. Hockey on his body flashed past, and his face began to twist. Momo 100 times island. Boom. Fruit ability explodes. Physical catharsis. After World's spirit reached its peak, it declined at an extremely fast speed. Islands. It's the first time he's used the ability on the island. Can it work? The idea. In fact, he came up with it after the 100-fold gun failed, and planned to try it. Previously. In fact, it's not that I haven't thought about it. But considering the large amount of physical energy consumed in it. Then gave up. Think the shells are enough. But that old Garp thing destroyed his idea. Now. Just be bolder. Go to his marine. Go to his world government. Let it all be buried under Lousy's hands. Die. World's eyes are tearing apart, and the ability has reached a usage limit. Immediately afterwards. There was a burst of weakness in his body, and the meteorite on the soles of his feet quickly dragged him to a distance. Alright. Shiki is dragging Garp and Sengoku. A move in my heart. Use the convenience of the fruit ability to fly to higher altitudes. Then. Don't disappoint me. The Golden Lion shoots like a rocket. In front of you. Or in other words, long and thin threads appeared in his mind. One of them. Is rapidly expanding. After he found it, he peeled it off with one finger. Moving. It seems that it is not an island, but a small rock. Only. The expected ease did not appear. Golden Lion raised his brows, feeling somewhat interested. Then turned into a single palm. Press down. But the speed is not very fast. Golden Lion became more and more surprised. It seems. This guy's ability is very smooth. Then, let's go all out together. Golden Lion's sharp eyes narrowed, and he pressed his hands on this extremely swollen thick line. Crush it. At this time. Now look at the small islands. After 100 times of Momo Fruit's application, and after Golden Lion used the fruit's nature to push wildly. Islands. While expanding. Speedy pilgrimage to Marie Joy's. Double. 5 times. 10 times. 30 times. It is growing at a terrifying rate, huge size. It can be used to cover the sky and the sun for a perfect fit. Like a meteorite. That's right, a meteorite. And it's the kind that develops towards large meteorites. Once dropped. No one is spared. Clever as a Golden Lion, it flew directly to an altitude of 7,000 meters, which was close to the sky above the White Sea. Even so, he could still see the rapidly expanding island. Below. What is that? Island, such a big island, pushing the clouds away. Are you kidding? It's getting bigger. Can the fruit ability be used to this extent? What is this for? Why? Destroy the world. Marine chasing pirates halfway, slowed down. Some are timid, and their legs start to feel weak. Because this scene really looks like the end of the world. The sky was dark. Atmospheric pressure changes drastically, crazy one after another flying. Panic mood. This diffuses up to. Everyone, why panic? Cheer up. Didn't Vice Admiral Garp blow up an island just now, and this must be the same. No problem, right? The two can't be confused at all, okay. The previous one is much smaller than this one. World this monster. Damn it, don't you even let us go. If you knew it, you wouldn't have worked for him. How could it be? Impossible. How noisy the marine is. Pirates will only get noisier and more chaotic. Especially the cadres of the ward pirates, they all looked unbelievable. Vice Captain Bio Jack, Combatant Gyrom, Fish Giant Sebastian, and Crew Nathan. Obviously said earlier. Work together. Create an island ship to travel around the world and carry out the adventure in the original idea. Why? Are those oaths and affections false? Why? To kill them together. Has the captain forgotten us? Don't be stupid, he must still hate us. That incident more than 10 years ago. But at that time we had no ability to save him. This is not a betrayal at all. Gyrom and the others roared. Only the Bio Jack holding the hanging bottle. Looking at the little bit of dark sky, he slowly took out a breath. Although there are accidents, but somehow it feels natural. That's okay, so the two don't owe each other. World. Holy place. Following the return of Sakaski and Gaiduo, Bai Huniang assisted Rodan to face the rocks. Result. Naturally it goes without saying. The latter has not had time to make waves in the future, and the proud dark fruit ability has not been used much. Just lost. It was a complete defeat. This couldn't help but make Rodan feel that the behind-the-scenes boss is very weak. In fact, the opponent is not weak, only. The combination of Rodan and White Hu Niang is really too powerful. So. The rocks will lose so fast, on the ruins. You should be dead, why are you still alive? Rodan looked at the man in front of him with interest. He treats this person. Really curious. Being able to pull so many people onto a pirate ship is definitely not something rocks could do before. Ha ha ha, disappearing. Doesn't mean you're dead, my lord I am. Rocks lay on the ground, smiling openly. I have predicted many things, but I didn't predict you. Precognition. Rodan caught the key word. Do you have the ability to predict the future? There is still time for assimilation. He tried to probe Rock's inner thoughts with MindNet. Only. Got it, but it was different from what I thought. This is the ability that I unexpectedly awakened after that battle. Whether it is Kazuki Odin or Golden Lion, how do you think I gathered them on the ship? Rock's chest heaved. First half sentence. It is what he thinks in his heart. The second half of the sentence. It is spoken words. That's weird. Hey. You sound like Whitebeard to me, don't you? Rock's eyes moved slightly, and he looked at the tall woman standing on the right hand. How did you become a woman? And you are uniting with this guy to deal with me? Although many things cannot be explained clearly. But keen him. It still feels like this guy is Whitebeard himself. Let's think about this question slowly in your coffin. White Hu Niang's red lips moved slightly. She was slightly surprised that Rox recognized her. After all, it's a world away. Now. Rodan took 2 steps closer to him, looking directly at Rox. That is. This guy is not a time traveler. Everything is weird. Is it the special ability he awakened later? Precognition. Is there a way for others to learn your ability? Did you think I'd tell you? Rox laughed. How would he know something that was unexpectedly awakened? Very good. This inner monologue Rodan received again. So. That is. Is this guy useless? Then you can predict what your result will be. Result. Rock's mouth twisted. Really started to make the final prediction. He wants to see it too. Will there be any changes in the future? Just for an instant. His face changed, and he looked up at the sky. At the same time, Rodan and Bai Huniang also looked up as if feeling something. Sky. Gradually darkened. The speed is fast. It was like biting off the day and the sun in the sky. As that. Island, the power of double fruit? Rodan's knowledge and knowledge are released in conjunction with Shangxinwang. All of a sudden, then I figured out what was going on. This body type. It's really tricky. Do you want to kill the world? White Hu Niang took a step forward. It's too late, besides. Even if it is killed, the enlarged body is still there. Rodan squinted. Ahem, cough, you say. If I haven't been seriously injured, maybe I can use the power of dark fruit to swallow it. Rox laughed and coughed up blood. Is there that much range? Rodan said something lightly. I no longer care about it. His task is to protect Marie Joyce, so naturally he can't let it completely collapse. The body is big, but how will you know if you don't try it? Rodan. A ball of red venom was released, and the venom invaded Rock's whole body along the way. Erode his last life. After doing this, he instantly transformed into a 300 million volt purple light thunder. One step. It flickered somewhere. Unfortunately, it's only 50 times. Hasn't it reached 100? The world is lying weak somewhere. Gasped. This move not only consumes physical strength, but also consumes a lot of vitality. But 50 times is enough, you should be satisfied. Who? Zzz boom. World. Pawn. The purple laying in midair disappeared again, and came to the front of the island collision instead. Now. The island has stopped expanding and is coming down at an extremely fast speed. Here. Garp and Sengoku have already come a step ahead. Obvious. They are ready to fight to the death. After all. Below are his subordinates and colleagues. Abandoning them and fleeing on their own is something neither Garp nor Sengoku can do. The world is just crazy. The world government's fear of him before was not for nothing. Ha ha ha, I'm a little stressed. Garp laughed. Looks a little heartless. Sengoku's heart is very heavy, Garp you. The words are not finished yet. 100 meters ahead. He saw a flashing purple light. My lord? Stop talking nonsense, let's stop it together. Rodan turned his head and said something, and then pressed his hands forward. Pause time. The black-purple light illuminated everything around. As if the sun has been brought back to this land. Rodan also did not expect that he would cooperate with Marine one day. Shaking his head and not thinking about it, Thunderblade Giant. Boom, crackle. Carried through the entire Marie Joys. Hoo-hoo. _ 1,000-meter-long Thunder Giant blade was condensed out of thin air. But this. 50 times the number of islands is not enough. Rodan gritted his teeth. Unleash the energy of Thunderfruit with all your might. This moment. In the eyes of the marine pirates down below, he is the real scourge. Humanoid disaster. We are preparing too. Garp and Sengoku tensed up, hoping to strike at an appropriate distance. At the same time, the marine behind didn't bother to watch. Each ran to the side of the fort and began to fill the remaining shells. Even if the effect will not be very significant, but it is good to have a little effect. The island is approaching. Rodan closed his eyes. When opened again, the eyes burst out with a dazzling light. Bring it on. Rodan clasped his hands tightly. Forward. Pull back. Made an action of throwing an object, swiped forward and pulled down. He didn't expect that. The real challenge isn't rocks, it's world making a thing like this. But he is not afraid. Boom. The air burst. Make the extremely strong wind pressure even more crazy. Now. Everyone held their breath. Waiting for the final result of this moment. Zisho, there was an ear-piercing noise. Sky. A light that was several times brighter than the sun lit up. Then. Is that a miracle? Will it succeed? It's useless, such a huge island. As almost becoming a piece of land. Is it possible to chop off a piece of land? If it can be done, isn't it a god? The pirates in Red Lane stared at the sky stupidly. Muttering to himself. Come on. At this moment, they have lost their camp. Betrayed by one's own people. Result, what is the enemy doing? The enemy is doing what is good for them. If you don't cheer for them, then who do you cheer for? Don't lose. The chaotic voice of gradually rose from the red alley. As if answering their voices, not long after. A shocking scene happened. Island center. A purple-black light burst out. Obviously. This is the Thunderblade piercing in. It worked. But it didn't end there, even though the island was split in half. The two halves did not explode from this, but continued to dive forward. Just progress. Just got a little slower. Not good, still moving forward. Big. Too big, the closer you get, the bigger it is. Don't just stand there and fire again, we also have shells on board. Prepare the rockets. Smash him. We can help too. Now. When pirates and marines face a common crisis of death. Ephemeral harmony was chosen. Together, fight the heights. And after Rodan swung this blow, his strength was running low. Although extremely recovering, but want to come again. But it was already too late. Leave it to us. Rear. Garp and Sengoku stepped on the moonwalk and flew towards the cracked and charred island alone. That grace. Quite a bit of absolute meaning. Actually. Comparing the size of the two sides, the gap is even more exaggerated than a gnat may shake a tree. But humans. Miracles can always work, don't they? Rodan looked away. Behind. Bai Hu Niang also stepped on the moonwalk and went straight up. Captain, it's your first time to fight alongside them, Captain. Well. You go, don't lose to them. Gu la la la, good. White Hu Niang smiled heartily. Fly up, boom. Almost instantly, then there were two shocks. One is Sengoku's blaster and the other is Garp's iron fist. A blow from the two of them. Effective, but not significantly. But the two of them didn't give up, they continued to output wave after wave. Immediately afterwards, there were bursts of broken sounds in the atmosphere. Both sides. Impressively, it was Bai Hunang's double fists, one left and one right, which had an effect. It is also considered a large island. Otherwise, these two. Even Garp and Sengoku are affected. Rao is like this. The two still felt trembling. That guy, is he using Whitebeard's ability? Sengoku squinted. Pity. Garp couldn't hear him at all. And Garp also have the same doubts as Sengoku. Previously, when they fought Shiki World, they felt the power of the shock fruit. I almost thought so. Whitebeard also came, and was really scared in a cold sweat. Until later. There was a contrast, after knowing it was from their side. I was relieved. But, the doubts in my heart are still strong. It doesn't matter, just focus on dealing with it. Sengoku stared intently. Squeezing the strength in his body, he exploded with all his strength. Soon. Kizaru also came to help. Laser cutting is always good, and it is the same here. Not as deep as Rodin's cut though, but it also weakened a large part of the power of the island. To the end, it turned into stones and fell down. But per block, there are still 100 meters. Now, the bombardment of shells can do wonders. People in holy places and red alleys, do not hesitate any longer. The order was issued directly, fire. Shush, the flames soared into the sky. Under the concerted effort, large stones were hit and shattered one after another. In contrast to the above, with the joint efforts of Bai Huniang and others, this enlarged supergiant island finally fell apart. Disintegrated into gravel fast, puff puff. Red lane together with holy land. It was smashed out of the pitted hole, and dense ripples appeared on the sea surface. Although in the end, a large amount of gravel still fell under the high-speed dive. Some casualties were caused, but this is much better than dropping the whole piece. The knot. It's over. Great, alive, lousy is still alive. Wu on yum, kudos to Sengoku Admiral and Vice Admiral Garp. Pirates, catch these pirates. Marine. Don't bring such things, we just helped you with shells. Marine and the pirates hugged each other and wept for the rest of their lives. Everyone is happy. Incoherent. No way. The super coercion just now was really terrifying, I almost thought it was a holy place. Oh no. This red line is going to be destroyed. Who would have thought? Will it be redeemed in this case? The same is true. Without Rodin's chop, it would have greatly slowed down the momentum of the island. Plus, split the two sides and fly to the sides of the pilgrimage site. The island fell directly, without the cushion that Rodin brings. Sengoku Garp alone is absolutely unstoppable. Above, at an altitude of 7,000 meters close to the White Sea, Golden Lion nearly popped his eyeballs out. What's the situation? For an island of this size, there is absolutely nothing in the world except the red line. Largest land area. How can it be? How could it just be gone? This moment, he couldn't believe his eyes. But no way. The Golden Lion watched the huge island below being worn away bit by bit. Seen it myself. You can't fake it. Even this failed. Golden Lion held two knives. Suppressing the raging waves in his heart, he turned around and flew in one direction. Keep it up. It is no longer necessary. The collapse is over. Absolutely irreparable. Also, he is not human at both ends. Marine aspect. Never die. In terms of my own people, after knowing what I do. Any room for maneuver? Impossible. I will definitely be back. Golden Lion left a ruthless sentence in the air, and the speed continued to climb. No, it can end now. In mind. A cold word. The complexion of the flying Golden Lion changed, and it stopped directly at the Cloudmaster. Ahead. A figure bathed in purple-blue lightning appeared. There was a high-pitched crackling sound, very harsh. Golden Lion was startled. Who are you? Can this catch up? People from the world government. The background is so strong. You don't need to know that much. Just understand that you will be buried here today. The sky is your burial place, so it fits well with your fruit ability, doesn't it? Purple-blue figure. That is to say, Rodin, who maintained the Super Thor state, erupted with incomparably dazzling brilliance. Next second, before Golden Lion reacted, it flashed over his head. The giant thunder spear that had already been lifted up was thrown at it fiercely. Z-boom, Golden Lion's twin sabers rushed forward, cutting open the lightning spear. Apex big pirate. As expected of the apex. Almost as soon as Rodan disappeared, he made a quick prediction and reaction. Action. Speed. All the fastest. Another person might not be able to imitate it at all, and was directly penetrated by Rodan's thunder spear. You have a lot of consumption, don't you? After the Golden Lion cut it open, he grinned at the corner of his mouth. How dare you block the confidence I gave you in this state? Say it. He turned his swords. Draw 2 gleaming slashes. Slash wave. Call these are 2 giant sword chi. Very powerful. Not only did it easily slice through Rodan's body, it even sliced through the clouds and flew several kilometers away. Disappeared in the sky. Only. Rodan's thunder body was broken. But the next second, healed quickly again. Like that. It seems to be saying, tisk tisk, you are not very good. Humph. Didn't hit the entity? Logia. Golden Lion raised his brows and swung his swords horizontally. Then try this move. Sakura wood. Dry 10. Instantly burst into a dark brilliance. The lion? Thousand Slice Valley. The voice fell. The golden slashes flew out continuously, densely packed. Dozens of shots were swung in a short period of time. This trick. It is an upgraded version of Slash Wave, and its lethality is stronger than Slash Wave. Most critical. It is covered with layers of thick haki. Shish, Lei's body, which had just healed, was cut again, as if it was about to develop into a riddled with holes. Rodan's face remained relaxed. Look. Still didn't hit the entity. Seeing this, Golden Lion was not only not annoyed, but quickly approached Rodan. Found it. He showed a hint of joy. Sakura wood withered. It also successfully cut to the elbow of Rodan's shoulder. It turns out, is waiting for me to show my flaws. Rodan didn't move his left shoulder, but when he pressed his right hand, a thunderbolt rushed towards the Golden Lion. Golden Lion was startled. Turn around helplessly. Split the thunder pillar. He won't trade injuries for injuries, and now there are some Marines down there. They are probably waiting for him to go down. Boom, the thunder pillar was split open. When Golden Lion looked again, he found that Rodan had disappeared without a trace. Sound. Not at all. Disappeared? Golden Lion released his color of knowledge and searched carefully. Wrong. He turned back sharply. Pity. Cut off. But Golden Lion's expression became more serious. No prediction was wrong. Just, almost hit it. Next. Golden Lion fell into a vicious circle. Chop around. Like pushing against the air. But none of the hits worked. It also made him more and more annoyed. You coward. Don't you dare to come out and fight me upright? He yelled for a while. Nothing, it's still the same. Until a few minutes later, Rodan's clear voice sounded again. Sure. It's almost recovered. Just for a moment. Endless invisible purple liquid gushes out crazily along with the real thunderlight. Hell poison thunder punishment. Language fall. A radius of several kilometers turned into a field of thunder. Wanton hacking continuously. Golden Lion had nowhere to hide, so he had to passively take these lightning strikes. But soon, he found something was wrong. Body. Got something stuck. Poison? Golden Lion's vision began to blur and his body went numb. He reacted to this. When? The state is extremely degraded. Golden Lion was dumbfounded. Above. By now. Rodan pulled his hands together. The thunderstorm that had been brewing for a long time was condensed, and then it was thrown down unceremoniously. Boom, this hit. The world paled. When it calms down again. Golden Lion has turned into a charred black corpse. Straight down. The last hidden danger has also been resolved. Rodan closed his eyes. Next. Leave it to the Marines. Half an hour later. The Marine reinforcements headed by Zephyr arrived late, and caught all the pirates trying to escape. At last. After they saw the traces of remaining on the battlefield, they imagined the scene of the fierce battle before. All sucked in a breath of cold air. Time flies. 3 days passed. The system task is also officially notified of completion. Before leaving, Rodan also took the Robe Girl's first-generation goosh. Such a great help. This reward, it's all as it should be. Pangu City. In a relatively intact floor. The 5 old ladies got together and said their last farewell to Rodan. Master Rodan, there will be a time later. Rodan's consciousness. Together with the demon sword Toru, he disappeared in the Holy Land. Only then did I faintly wake up. That. What power? Are you awake? The fifth old woman asked tentatively. I am a little confused. Immediately afterwards, the fifth old lady explained to her, and of course she didn't know. During the period of depression, so many things happened. Through the world, does such a thing really exist? Main world. Rodan successfully returned to consciousness. Open your eyes. Beside him was a long knife with a scabbard. This is exactly what obtained in this mission, the demon sword Ghost Toru, one of the 12 masters of the supreme sword. Like this, there are only 12 in the world. There are also Bai Hu Niang and Mi Huke, count them all together. He has 3 in one pirate group. If you have time, you can collect it. Powerful stuff. Of course, it's more reassuring to have it in your own hands. Whether for personal use, or hand it over to your subordinates, it's the best choice. Rodan read this. The system beep also sounded. Ding. This mission has been successfully completed and rewards are being drawn. Congratulations on drawing the time hourglass. Time hourglass. Once the hourglass starts to flow backwards, everything within a radius of 10 meters will start to accelerate 100 times. The hourglass time is up to 1 hour outside, and it can be used once a week. Please use it with caution. Hourglass of time. Rodan began to think about the purpose of this thing. Within 10 meters. If the external time is 1 hour, the internal world will speed up 100 times. That is 100 hours. Similar to a small spiritual time house? When encountering any special emergency situation, it's quite useful. If you are seriously injured, you need a lot of time to recover. And so on. Like practicing or something. After going in. That is, the passage of external time slows down 100 times. Nice one. Rodan took it out and put it in the storage ring. It's just a hole card. Captain, are you back? Mihoko noticed Rodan's change and asked with concern. Rodan nodded, then asked, how long has it been? About 2 hours. Mihoko laughed. There's not much time for this mission. Rodan nodded. He protected the world government in the previous world. This time it's the opposite. To be ready to hit up. Have to say, destiny is really strange sometimes. However, if this world government is as useless as before, then there will be no sense of expectation. Rodan rested his chin on one hand. The fifth old lady over there. Let's talk about strength. In fact, it was a little bit. The 5 of them worked together and almost wiped out the Red Earl. Alright. But it doesn't look like much. This is not their full state, it is their strength that has been squeezed once by their summoning. If it is not called before strength, although it is a disposable battery, it can still be used. Let's talk about the previous joint attack. Slashed that massive blow on Saboti Island. Almost got Garp out. Try to be as strong as, and I am. Rodan murmured. This is the key. I am in the world over there didn't notice the strength or weakness. But it doesn't mean. The Yim of this world is also so weak. That's it. World government. It is these 2 sides that need the most attention. As for its blocking, miscellaneous fish like CPO are easy to clean up. If it is really strong, how is it possible to work hard for the world government willingly? Be their dog? Finally there is Marine. Then let's not talk about it. Marine was basically half disabled by him, even if there were still strong ones. But this time, the coalition he brought with him. It's not that he's just a dry person, how can he help him to hold some people back? I hope that at that time, the Revolutionary Army will not come and intervene casually. The goal of the Revolutionary Army. To overthrow the celestial dragons who control the world government. Push down all the thrones, and Rodan's goal. It is to directly destroy the head of the world government, so that you can master it yourself. Become Lord of the world. Rodan didn't want to work hard on his own. Hit to the end. When it was about to be laid down, the unscathed Revolutionary Army jumped out to take advantage of a wave. Although he was not afraid of the Revolutionary Army, he had to guard against it. Just in case. What cards does the world government have, and it will hurt both sides in a fight with him? That Revolutionary Army. Isn't it really lying down and picking up the leak? The odds are slim, but it's not impossible. There is always nothing wrong with taking precautions. Or, let's get rid of the Revolutionary Army first? Rodan thinks about rendering. But, they didn't mess with themselves. Is it impolite to take the initiative to kill the other party? Not in line with his usual style. As for cooperation? Killed the father of the other leader by himself. Can we still get along? It seems that we have to find an opportunity to have a good talk with them. Rodan tapped on the golden handle. Leave this matter to the people under his command. After all now, the Fur tribe, the Murloc tribe, and the old tribe of beasts are all his people. Contact a revolutionary army. Presumably it was easy and there was no difficulty. As expected. That night, when the airship sailed into Calm Belt, the pirate group he belonged to sent him the contact information of the revolutionary army. Also at that time, Rodan just knew. It turns out that the revolutionary army has been trying to contact itself through various channels. It hit it off after Rodan agreed to contact. Not long after, his personal phone bug was called in by a stranger. It is Dragon, but the two didn't talk much, and they couldn't talk about anything on the phone. See you in person. It is the safest, so the two decided to make an appointment at a place. At Amazon Lily of Calm Belt, the hometown of Pirate Queen. Without him, Rodan is closer to that now. In addition, by the way, Hancock can go back to her mother's house to have a look. It was dark. Master bedroom. Rodan lay on the big bed. It was Hancock who turned his head. Her curled body trembled slightly. The dignified pirate empress. In front of this man, an unprecedented expression of anxiety appeared. Plop plop. Rodan could hear her pounding heartbeat. Shusha, one. Rodan smiled and put his arms around her. The other party shuddered and struggled a little. You can't touch. You should think more about your Amazon lilies. What will happen to them without my protection? Then you let go of your concubine. Make it clear, you are now a prisoner. The corner of Rodan's mouth slightly raised. Of course, I won't coerce you. Backquote, but, you should always think about Luffy, right? Now I can easily put him. Stop it. I promise you. Hancock's voice trembled a little. Only Luffy. It is the biggest weakness in her heart. Luffy. For Luffy, she can do everything, even if. Luffy, you will forgive me. Hancock closed his eyes. The corners of the eyes, sliding down crystal clear teardrops. You won't regret it. Rodan threw off the quilt, revealing his extremely strong muscles. Then lay down on the big bed. Press well, apply essential oil first, and scrape Shaw hard first. Rodan said, pointing to the essential oil bottle on the side. After shaving, start massaging me, starting from the spine. Don't be lazy. Hancock just picked up the scraping board made by Wen Yu. Hear the second half of the sentence, almost scared to let go. This guy didn't say he wanted a massage earlier. What? You don't need to step on your back. As promised, only scraping, massage and so on. I don't know how to do it at all. Hancock blinked. Focus on Rodan's trapezius, teres, lats, erector spinae, and lower back. Swallowed a mouthful of fairy spit. Is it too big? How on earth did this man practice? What are you in a daze for? If you don't know how to press, you will learn. Rodan waved his hand. Previously. Tired day in the mission world. It's time to enjoy. Just enjoy it. This is unimaginable for anyone in the outside world. The most beautiful emperor comes to scrape. Tut tut. This is the joy of strength. Rodan squinted. Use a little force. I ask you to use your strength. Have you been cared for by Amazon Lily for too long? It's strange that you can scrape Shaw like this. It rained all night. The next day, when the girls had breakfast together, noticed that Hancock's face had a little more rosiness, like a ripe peach. Limp. The temperament on her body is also more coquettish, more attractive. Only dark circles are a bit heavy. Did you go to the captain's room last night? Her Majesty the Queen. There was a hint of ridicule in Dover's tone of teasing. The rest. All eyes were on Hancock, too. Very sharp. It made Hancock feel uncomfortable. Obviously. All women, no matter what aspect she is among women, especially among pirates, are top-notch, but compared to these people, she didn't have that sense of superiority. Especially now. I always feel somehow short. Obviously. She served Rodan. Why does she seem to have taken advantage of it long ago? Now. In the air. There is a hint of vinegar smell faintly. He offered me to go. Hancock brushed his hair away from his ear, pretending to be calm, and said, don't get me wrong. The corners of the girls' mouths twitched. Misunderstand? Don't get me wrong. If it's not that you don't dare to use your knowledge to go to Rodan's room to investigate. Still playing riddles? In fact, there is no need. What happened in the end can be guessed, everyone knows it well. Now. Mihoke spoke. Tell me in detail what happened last night. Why, how come? Crocodile, wearing a yellow feather cloak, pointed directly at Hancock's nose and cursed. How could he take the initiative to let you in? It must be you. Who broke in on purpose? As the earliest elders, she refuses, extremely unbalanced mind. Why do you react so strongly to my concubine? Hancock is not an easy character either, immediately upset. Gua Sha. Just a massage. Do it. As if she took advantage of it? You. Just as the atmosphere intensified, a cough interrupted them. Cough cough. Rodan comes. Children. It also suddenly became quiet, as if nothing had happened. Ahead, there is an island. He looked at Hancock. Hancock subconsciously avoided his gaze. Finger. Still sour. She doesn't want to be arrested and become a massage therapist anymore. Rodan's muscles. It's too solid. That island has something to do with you, Hancock. What? Hancock looked back suspiciously. Yes, arrived? Amazon Lily arrived? You'll find out soon enough. Rodan's heartnet was placed dozens of kilometers away. There. There is an island. But not the Amazon Lily Hancock had in mind. Call, the flying boat cut through the clouds. Finally arrived at the top of this, Ruskina Island. Inside the island. This was originally an uninhabited island, but the two people who broke into it recently. But let the island. It has become several times more lively than usual. Boom. A towering tree was knocked down by a long arm. Woohoo. The yellow-haired orangutan passed over dangerously. Dodged the blow. Subsequently. Staring at the young man in front of him, a trace of blood flashed in the beast's eyes. A roar. The orangutan dodged behind the boy and raised his fist as big as a millstone. Go to the back of his head. The boy in the blue clothes seemed to be in a bad mood. Take a sharp turn. The big rubber fist stretched and contracted suddenly, hitting the orangutan's plush face first. Boom! One. The strong wind pressure exploded out of thin air. The orangutan's face was sunken, and he staggered 2 steps. A boy with a white scarf tied around his eyes. Naturally, he did not let go of this opportunity, and took advantage of the gap of its retreat. His fist hit the orangutan like a storm, for a moment. He swung dozens of punches. At last. The orangutan finally couldn't hold on, and fell down on the green grass with a thud. Finally solve this big man. Luffy let out a foul breath and wiped his sweat. Immediately afterwards, my stomach was also rumbling. Very hungry. Hey, Uncle Rayleigh, let's have dinner. Luffy unwrapped the white scarf wrapped around his eyes. Yelled and yelled. But this time, there was no immediate response from Rayleigh. Helpless. Luffy had to take the initiative to look for it. So hard. He soon found it on the shore. Old Rayleigh. Standing alone on a branch of a tree, staring at the sky. Uncle Rayleigh, what are you looking at? Luffy throws a right hand. After grabbing the tree trunk where Rayleigh was, Lee pulled his body and flew over. Then he was on the same level as Rayleigh. Luffy, see? Rayleigh looked serious. Luffy followed his gaze, also looking north. What? Doubt just came out, his sight. Locked on a spaceship the size of a sesame seed. This is the first glance, after Luffy reacted. Spaceship. It has grown from a sesame seed to the size of a watermelon. Distance. Obviously a lot closer. That's a flying ship. Luffy's eyes lit up. This is the expression he only makes when he sees something new and interesting, or something he likes. Luffy. I was talking to you about that man named Rodan before. Rayleigh took a deep breath. Rodan. Luffy frowned thoughtfully. Rayleigh said, the discharge captain with a crew of strange women. Listen to this. Luffy reacted immediately, and his eyes were rarely gloomy. The tone was a little indifferent. It's him. Own grandfather. It was killed by that guy. Luffy clenched his fists tightly, as if a flame was burning violently in his chest. For a while. The creaking sound continued. But Luffy is not as impulsive as before, perhaps. He understands. The gap between oneself and the other party is already a world away. Not calm. You also have to force yourself to calm down. Rayleigh glanced at him with a sigh in his heart. I hope it's just passing by. He adjusted his glasses. As much as possible. Suppressing the breath that emanates from itself. Luffy's. Then there's no way. He didn't want Luffy to run away or anything. In this situation, any rash action will only accelerate the risk of exposing yourself. Only. What Rayleigh didn't know was Rodin's heartweb. They have already been investigated clearly. Boom. After the flying boat approached the island, its speed slowed down. At last. Hovered directly above. What Rayleigh didn't want to see finally came. The airship began to make an emergency landing. Soon. It landed on the shore of the beach. 100 meters away. Crack. Luffy grabbed the bark with his left hand hard. A piece of skin was scratched. Obviously. At this moment, his heart was not at peace. Uncle Rayleigh, is he a good man? That's what I said. Luffy feels like he's retarded. Come on Luffy, some things have to be faced. Rayleigh shook his head. Other side. It's obviously aimed at them, there's no need for Hang to hide his head and show his tail. With Luffy's temperament, everyone came. I will never continue to hide in it. But Rayleigh gave him a solemn order, in its view. Although Rodan was rumored to be extremely vicious. But essentially, it's really not the worst villain without principles. It's a bit extreme. He was vaguely aware of this when they met on Saboti Island last time. Really malicious. I wouldn't be so polite. Rayleigh didn't think about it. One leg. Take the lead in leaping forward. Luffy followed closely behind. Soon. The two came to Feijo. Squeak. At this time, the flying boat also lowered a special long ladder. A tall, handsome man came down leisurely. Around. He was also pulling a beautiful woman in a leather robe with G-style hair. Male. It's Rodan. Rayleigh wasn't surprised. But the woman next to me, Hancock. Luffy called out before him. Luffy. Hancock showed a look of tenderness. Want to be one step ahead of Rodan. But after being glanced lightly by him, he instantly settled down. Hold your head. Turned away, not looking at Luffy. She didn't expect that. Rodan. Will actually bring her to the island where Luffy is now. Is it intentional? Or is it really just a coincidence? It was too painful. This feeling of wanting to recognize but not being able to recognize. Don't be narcissistic, it's just your unrequited love. Rodan reminded. Pirate Queen. To be honest. There is no point in wasting youth on Luffy, that rascal. Just a guy who is obsessed with love. Just like Monkey King in 7 Dragon Ball. To the end. I can't tell if I really love Chi-Chi or not. When married, that's just being bluffed by Chi-Chi and taking advantage of a huge advantage. Hancock, don't you know me? Luffy got no response from the other party. For a while. Thought it was the wrong person. But after wiping his eyes clean under uncertainty, he was sure it was Hancock himself. So. Only then had to be puzzled. Luffy. Hancock glanced away. Pinching the corner of the clothes. There is a slight struggle. She. Don't want to embarrass Luffy. She is not a fool if she makes some intimate moves with Luffy. Rodan. Don't know yet. Okay, silly monkey, it's not that she doesn't know you. Rodan put his hands in his pockets and smiled. But I can't recognize you because. She is my wife now. When will I? Hancock's expression changed, and he gave Rodan a hard look. Monkey. What are you talking about? Luffy is angry. But when he heard the second half of the sentence, he was briefly stunned. Heart. It was as if he had lost something important, something that belonged to him. Wife, Hancock turns out to be your wife. Luffy was dumbfounded, somewhat overwhelmed. His original plan was to cultivate. Keep cultivating to be strong. Until you defeat Rodan with your partner. Avenge Grandpa. But. Rodan is Hancock's husband, and it's a bit difficult for him at the moment. Hancock, undoubtedly a good friend of his, who had done her many great favors. I will beat up other people's husbands in the future. Isn't it a little bad? For a while. Luffy didn't know how to choose, but the next second. With a single muscle, he figured out a way. Both. Is there a direct relationship? He would beat Rodan, but not kill. At most, will be useless. Let him not continue to do evil. Hancock is so understanding, he must understand himself. Certainly. Luffy is no fool. Seeing Hancock's reluctance, he immediately asked again. Hancock, are you really his wife? This sentence. It's like giving Hancock a critical blow, said in front of the beloved that she was someone else's wife. This. How could it be possible? Hancock looked at Luffy's Chi-Ji eyes, feeling very unbearable in his heart. Certainly. This period. It's what she thinks. In fact, Luffy didn't make much expression, just a rare seriousness on his face. Rayleigh glanced at Hancock. Heart. A click. Could it be that she was forced onto the boat by Rodan? Rayleigh's eyes flashed. Want to ask, but I couldn't ask directly, so I had to speak slowly and say hello first. Your Excellency Rodan, we meet again. Rodan, now recognized as the most powerful pirate on the Grand Line. None of them. Even. Faintly, someone has already made him the next One Piece. This is the public knowledge of the Grand Line. To know, none of the previous 4 emperors had this treatment. And Rodan has. He did it. It's just. He himself doesn't seem to be keen on One Piece, as for a few signposts to Raftel. Historical text. Neither looked very interested. But everyone knows that it's not that Aiden has no ambitions. 2. Has stronger goals and ambitions than being the One Piece. The key is, he's already shown a level of heaven-defying prowess. Naval headquarters. Nothing but him. Even when Rayleigh was the silver assistant of One Piece in Roger's era, he had never seen such a person. Roger, Whitebeard, Golden Lion. 3 legendary pirates. I have never done it before, not as good as him. Sea Marine. Most of the time, it looks like a cat catching mice. Pluton Rayleigh. Long time no see, thanks for giving me the permanent pointer to Amazon Lily last time. Rodan smiled slightly. Respond very politely. And this. Rayleigh not only did not answer, but frowned a little. Hancock is now on Rodan's boat. It shouldn't be related to this matter, but he didn't get too entangled. By Rodan's means. Now I can't go where I want to go, I just bumped into him at that time. Don't blame yourself. And Hancock himself. Listen to this. The glanced head turned away again. Good guy. The old man Rayleigh actually gave someone else the pointer to her house? This is something she never thought of, at first. Rodan took out the pointer to the Amazon Lily, and she thought it was obtained from other sources. Did not expect. Unexpectedly, it was given by the most unlikely person she thought. Hancock was a little taken aback. Mr. Rayleigh. On the flying boat. After Rodan and Hancock, Bucky jumped down first. A little excited. The rest of the girls also came down, and they all came down with the mood of watching a show. The last challenge is not over yet. Let's continue. Bet on Barry, this time. I will definitely defeat you. Bucky said excitedly. Subsequently, another beseeching look was thrown at Rodan. You've already said it. Why are you still looking at me with this expression? Rodan shrugged. Anyway, with myself, there will be no accidents at all. Just make a fuss. Think of it as a relaxation session before resisting the world government. You brought me here, what are you going to do? Hancock whispered. Luffy was right in front. If she continued to stay, she was afraid that she would not be able to resist recognition. This was never possible before. Even if the land falls and the ground cracks. She will always say hello to Luffy the first time. But now. That eagerness diminished and was suppressed a lot by the other hand. I don't have that much thought. If I say let him go, I will let him go. Rodan said. Luffy now, to be honest. For him, it is really too weak, and now it is estimated that he has not even learned all of hockey. Can't arouse the slightest interest at all. 2 years later. It would be nice to have a little wave in the face of him. Pass by here, it's purely a coincidence, and I'm just looking at it now. Close range. See what's special about this Destiny child. If you shoot him. Hancock wanted to say something harsh. But after hearing what Rodan said, he was taken aback, and quickly stopped the second half of the sentence. Rodan showed an inexplicable smile. We still have work to do, so we won't stay here for a long time. I'll give you 10 minutes of free time. In the meantime, you can do what you want. He glanced at Hancock meaningfully, including catching up with your old acquaintance. Rodan's words. It made Hancock a little unbelievable for a moment. This guy. When did you become so talkative? She feels it all. Could there be some conspiracy in it? Rodan. Naturally, she saw what she was thinking. Smiled. Walked around the island directly, and gradually disappeared into the field of vision. Within the Heart Network. He can detect no matter what happens on this island, so he is naturally not kind enough to create opportunities for Luffy and Hancock. Rather. Want to completely cut off her thoughts. So, when Rodan brushed against Luffy, he whispered something in his ear. This sentence. Luffy was directly confused. But soon. He hurriedly asked what he wanted to say. Hey, did you kill my grandpa? Huh? I guess so. Rodan raised an eyebrow. What's the difference between murdered by the crew and killed by him? It's the same. Then you wait. One day I will defeat you and avenge Grandpa. W. Just to beat? Rodan shook his head and smiled. Out of here. It disappeared after a while. Seeing this, Hancock ran towards Luffy in a hurry.
Luffy. Her tone was very urgent, and seeing the bandage on Luffy's forehead was even more distressing. Are you hurt? Let me see quickly.
She leans closer. But Luffy got out of the way and was very decisive. You really know me, Hancock. Didn't you think of us just now? Luffy. No, Hancock wanted to explain, but was interrupted by Luffy. The guy just talked to me, and I get it. Luffy shook his head, and stretched out his hand to block Hancock in front of him. You have a husband now, you can't be so close to me. If that guy finds out, it will not be good if it affects the relationship between you and your husband. Luffy, who has always had a low EQ, said this sentence extremely unexpectedly. The expression is also very sincere. It's really for the good of the other party, and I don't want to delay her kindness. After all, it's all too easy to misunderstand. Luffy, listen to me. Hancock's pretty face changed. There is some colic in my heart. When did she become a married man? Wait. Did Rodan just say something to you? No, he didn't say anything. The corners of Luffy's eyes trembled imperceptibly, and then he shook his head calmly. He doesn't want to be a third party in other people's feelings. Although I don't understand it very well. But this does not prevent me and Hancock from only maintaining a normal friendship. Okay. Don't disturb my cultivation if you have nothing to do. Sooner or later, I will defeat him. Luffy turned into a determined face. Watching the fierce battle between Rayleigh and Bucky, the desire for strength in my heart is getting stronger and stronger. Even an ordinary crew member on the other side. He can compete with Uncle Rayleigh on equal footing. Why should he not work hard? Not desperate. Read this. He also disappeared from Hancock's view. Even hunger. All briefly forgotten. Hancock reached for a handful, but found nothing. Nothing happened. Not even confirmed the relationship. Just fell in love. Disappointment gradually filled her heart. As for the defeat just now, it made the corner of Hancock's mouth reveal a wry smile. Luffy. Do you know how strong Rodan is? He is an insurmountable Tienja. Put before, she could trust Luffy without thinking. But now inside. During my time with Rodan. No more. That's all. There was a period between Luffy and Hancock. Certainly. This is just a small episode. For Rodan, Hancock doesn't hold a high place in his heart. Far less important than the arrival of the crew. But this does not mean that Rodan can accept that Hancock is in Cao Ying and his heart is in Han. There is still time. Hancock saw the determined look on Luffy's face. Nothing but disappointment. There was also a trace of uncontrollable anger. Obviously. I did this all for him. Dedication. Is it really that cheap? Hancock crossed her arms. The sky was clear but she couldn't feel any warmth. I told you so. Rodan stood beside her with his hands in his pockets. First of all, you are not the right age. Then how old are you? Hancock shot him a sharp look. Rodan. Can this be the same? Own. It's not about talking about childish love with her. Have that kung fu. Wouldn't it be nice to increase your strength a bit more? What's wrong with having strength? Alright. Unconsciously. Does he seem to have enough power now? Time passed by in a flash. After staying on the island for about half an hour, Rayleigh and Bucky, who had no weapons, hadn't decided the winner yet. Rodan stopped them. I still have an appointment with the Revolutionary Army, Baki's fruit development. Sword skills are basically useless to it. Only bludgeoning works. The two fought for a while without any results. And Bucky. He could only close his hands with unsatisfactory intentions. These days. Except for the ripe fruit ability, Baki has experienced many high-intensity actual combats. Swordsmanship and gymnastics. There is some progress. This is not. Played with Rayleigh for half an hour. She didn't feel weak at all, and she started to be negligent in coping as before. Pity. There is not enough time this time, and we will not be able to reach the end. It's okay, there will be opportunities in the future. Rodan glanced at Bucky. This guy. It is estimated that it is a contest with Rayleigh, and it is almost a demon. The airship set sail again. The two old men, Luffy and Rayleigh, are in different moods. Luffy, have you seen the gap between yourself and them? Even I have such a hard time dealing with one of them, you. I will work hard. Luffy tightened his straw hat. Amazon Lily. After the female warriors on the island learned that their king had joined the prestigious Rodan pirate group. It is agreed that Master Snake G is not voluntary. Such a proud person. It is absolutely impossible to surrender at the feet of others. So. They are ready to rescue. Until Hancock personally made a peace of mind phone call. The 9 snake warriors gave up their plan. Master Shiji, will you come back? That's the Rodan pirates. Snake Sama said she's fine, but she must be fine. So what should I do now? Re-election. Why? Don't you want to steal the king's seat? Don't you want to see what kind of virtue you have? It's all noisy. There's movement. The periphery of 9 Snake Island. Several tall women with bows and arrows on their backs were chatting, but were interrupted by one of the slender women. Several people turned their heads to look. His expression suddenly became serious. I saw the sea level in the distance. A big ship with a red dragon head as its prow is slowly approaching. The hull is also wrapped by the dragon body. Looks very hawky. This ship is too big, definitely not an ordinary pirate ship. Wait, no pirate flag. Probably not a pirate ship. Merchant ship. No matter what the purpose is, I will inform the other teams first. Several people questioned for a while. Then they assigned tasks to each other, and those who stayed behind continued to stay behind. Those who report the letter go in and report the letter. The division of labor is particularly clear, actually. These days, since Hancock left, their 9 Snakes Island has been constantly attacked by foreign pirates. Intel. This subsided after the flags of Rodan's regiment were hoisted around the island. Just today. There was something obviously wrong with this dragon boat, and when it saw the flag, it not only refused to return it, it came forward on its own initiative. There must be something wrong. Information. It spread quickly. For a moment. On the high ground of 9 Snake Island. Surrounded by circles of 9 snake warriors holding bows and arrows made of snakes, each with their belly and thighs exposed. Take the bow and draw the arrow to wrap around hockey. A whole set of movements is smooth and flowing, ready to go, with a sense of beauty in the smoothness. Get out of the way. Mother-in-law is here. Language fall. The 9 snake warriors made way for a short and ugly old woman to come to the front. What mother-in-law? Her real name is Gloriosa. He is the former emperor of 9 Snake Island. Hancock is not around now. She temporarily took her to take over 9 Snake Island, and took charge of her role as a military advisor. The 9 snake fighters are also willing. No comments. Da. The mother-in-law came to the front, holding the live snake. She immediately frowned. What is the Revolutionary Army? Now. On the dragon boat in the distance. The cadres of the Revolutionary Army wore green robes. The first one. After taking off the hood, he showed a puzzled expression. People from 9 Snakes Island want to attack us, didn't they say hello in advance? Perhaps, we came too early. Dragon. Is there a possibility that they don't know us at all? After all, the movements of our Revolutionary Army have always been hidden. Several military commanders had their own guesses. Alright. Drago raised his hand to interrupt them, and looked at a man in green beside him. Karaz, you go over and say hello. The man called Karaz nodded. Pull off the robe. Although he is hairless and bald. But the black coat on his body is full of feathers, which makes him look less monotonous. There is also a beak-shaped loudspeaker on its mouth. It made him a bit more profound and mysterious overall. Callus flaunted his clothes. It turned into a black shadow and flew to the sky of 9 Snake Island at an extremely fast speed. Seeing the opposite side, he was about to shoot. He quickly activated the loudspeaker on his mouth and shouted vigorously. Everyone, we are the Revolutionary Army. Callus directly revealed the door. We made an appointment with the Rodan pirates to meet on Hydra Island. Language fall. The 9 snake warriors paused, and all looked at Granny Z. And the mother-in-law herself. He looked blank, as if he didn't know anything at all. But the previous nervousness has slowly faded away. One way or another. It is a good thing if the other party is not hostile. Don't shoot yet. Grandma Z waved her hand, raised her head and asked Karaz, but we didn't receive this news. Well, no? Karaz was taken aback. It shouldn't be. It's been several hours, no matter how slow it is. Isn't it just an instant when there is a phone call? No, please contact me now. Below. The mother-in-law nodded when she heard the words, and began to touch the phone bug from her arms. This touch. But found none at all. My memory. She slapped her head, and her face became a little embarrassed. The phone bug used to contact them was lost yesterday, and I'm still looking for it now. What a coincidence. No wonder I didn't get the message. Karaz, who was floating in midair, was a little speechless, when he was about to say something. His pale face moved. Look up to the sky. Boom, the wind pressure suddenly began to compress, and it became chaotic. Above, a large golden ship descended. Come yet? Callus looked serious. A turn around. It turned into thousands of crows and flew towards the dragon boat again. At the same time, the female warriors on Nine Snake Island also began to make noise. It's the spaceship of the Rodan pirates. It's so dazzling. Great, Master Snake Princess is also on it. I hope my sister is all right. Master Marigold, Master Snake is so beautiful, she will be fine. That's right, that's right. Rodan is such a big man, he can't bear to attack Lord Snake. The other female warriors were rejoicing. It is confidence in the king. Only Hancock's two younger sisters have a little worry in their hearts. Flying boat. Landed on the sea. The location is exactly in the middle of Nine Snake Island and Dragon Boat. Dragon Boat. The Revolutionary Army commanders took off their hoods. Mainly the leader Dorag. Chief of Staff Sabo walked to the bow of the ship as his assistant. The remaining. Sichuan Army Commander. Shemale King Ivankov, Betty with inspiring fruit ability, Inventor Lindbergh, and finally Mori who has a giant shape. Surrounded by the two of them, the remaining. Except for the Deputy Army Commander and some cadres, the status of in the Revolutionary Army is extremely prominent. Almost all the staff were dispatched, obviously. They take this conversation very seriously. Rodan walked to the bow first. Number of people. Although far inferior to the Revolutionary Army. But in terms of quality, it's a world of difference. Dorag? Paluzolino's eyelids trembled slightly. In her world, the two were quite close in relationship. Monkey D. Dorag. Rodan smiled and didn't care about the people around him. The general thing was mentioned in the phone bug. Anyway, here are our own people, so let's get straight to the point. Before that, I have a question. Is my father really dead? Dorag said expressionlessly. Although I vaguely have the answer in my heart, at the same time as a revolutionary army. One day I will meet my father in person, but that's his business. If he really killed his father. Garp finally died in my lava. Before Rodan could speak. Sakaski spoke first. As a marine, since he has made a choice, I choose to respect it. Zephyr. She killed it. Garp. Still died under her hands. It's hard to tell if it's a coincidence. People are not grass. Shisaka's also hesitated. After all, two people. In the world over there, they are all their elders. But it was only a moment of hesitation. Now that everyone is on the battlefield, they are already ready to die. Spare the other party's life? In Sakaski's view, it is a humiliation to being a marine. Now, her admission. The commanders of the Revolutionary Army were stunned. Especially the chief of staff, Sabo, is full of disbelief. Big words. Sabo regained his memory. When young. He'd seen Garp Iron Fist's horror, even now grown up. Still feel palpitations, he doesn't believe it. He didn't believe that such a powerful old man would die in the hands of a woman. Hee. Are you brazen? Sakaski sneered. It's just that you have too little experience. Rodan speaks tactfully, but I don't. Today. You either submit or die. No one in the Revolutionary Army could have imagined. Opposite this beautiful woman with a proud figure, she speaks so arrogantly and hotly. Really? Are you not afraid of their Revolutionary Army at all? Everyone was furious. Is that Sabo? Sakaski crossed her arms and stood upright. I heard that you are the second in command of the Revolutionary Army. Ha ha. In my opinion, it's just a one-hit thing. She. Still provoking the opposite side. Rodan glanced at her, but didn't say much. Court death. Sabo was in an extremely bad mood these days, whether it was Ace's death or Garp's death. All gave him quite a blow. Now. I can't bear it anymore. He stepped on his right foot. A frightening wave erupted instantly on the deck, and the whole person jumped out like a rocket soaring into the sky. Sabo's right hand arm is hardened, and the index and middle fingers are bent and. In a group, the ring finger and little finger are also bent together into a group. At last. It's a slight bend in the thumb. It looks like it has 3 dragon claws, and it looks extremely powerful. Dragon claw. Call out. With a wave of his right hand, he mercilessly moved toward Sarkis's paw. Snort. Sakaski sneered, and the lava's glare instantly illuminated the surroundings. Standing still. He directly swung his right fist wrapped in lava. The chief of the staff, is he doing it? Too impulsive. This accident. Let everyone present be unexpected. Above. Sabo's clawed right hand cut through the air. A flash. Then take Sakaski's head, only. When he saw that the opponent's body was motionless, he just stretched out his right hand. Can't help but feel contemptuous, but on second thought. Maybe it was because I was too fast and the other side didn't react. Except punching. There was no time to make other actions. In that case, don't blame me for being rude. Boom, Sakaski, who was standing still, threw out a right fist. The airwave exploded. Lava burst. The incomparably strong impact spread through Sabo's whole body through the dragon's claws. Grow numb. Soreness. Sting. Wait until Sabo feels that his entire arm is going to be useless. His stature has flown out of midair. On the other hand, Sakaski, after swinging a fist and colliding with it, his footsteps never moved a bit. People around me. Because the flying boat is larger, the distance between everyone is also far. So apart from the buzzing of collars and cloaks, it was as if nothing had happened. See Sabo flying upside down. She raised her head slightly, and chased after him at a lightning speed. Then, after chasing his body, Honglian punched again. Emergency moment. A gust of wind came from the dragon boat and swept Sabo away in a flash. Subsequently, a more powerful dragon's claw meets the red lotus. Haven't contacted yet. A very tearing windblade burst out from the dragon's claw. Amazing power. Boom. The two cancel out. Drago appeared in the sky, his face more serious than before. Sabo is impulsive. I think we should sit down and have a good talk. This word. Confront Sakaski. It was also for Rodan in the rear. Sakaski chuckled. Huh. Don't you take revenge for killing your father? That's it. You still deserve to be the leader of the Revolutionary Army. What a waste. Being pointed at and scolded as trash. Even though Drago had a calm temper, he couldn't help it. And Garp's death. He didn't expect that. It was actually made by the Rodan group. That thing. It is absolutely impossible to say that it is not recommended at all. He always has to think about the people behind him. Rear. Sabo was blown back to the dragon boat by the strong wind, with his left hand covering his right hand and grinning. Part of the magma. Burning his arm, burning pain. If it is not armed color hardened, it was already destroyed by this blow. Sabo. My childhood sweetheart Maklar hurried over and looked at Sabo with great concern. How are you? Are you okay? Let me see. Hiss. Sabo gasped. Of course there is something. This injury is nothing. Heard the words. Claire's pretty face tightened, and she understood. My heart suddenly became anxious. I'm going to get the first aid kit. She said something, and ran back to the cabin in a hurry. Now. The rest of the army commanders all had ugly faces. One strike. Just make their second in command like this, depending on the position, it is not the top 200 in the Rodan pirates. This. Even if they know the information of the Rodan regiment. And personal strength. But still let a person take a breath of cold air. No doubt. Close range brings them a greater impact. This time, originally, the strength of the Revolutionary Army's superiority in numbers was wiped out in an instant. World live. World economic news, the overwhelming publicity. It's not like they haven't seen it. Once they fight, the Revolutionary Army is bound to suffer a disastrous defeat. Boom. With the crisp sound of the deck, Sakaski also jumped back. She leaned closer to Rodan and said, let's just do it together, keep the Revolutionary Army. There is no need for that. Yo, Sakaski. Killing indiscriminately is not our style. Paluzolino walked over with a smile. Conflicts can be resolved. Come on. Are you an undercover agent sent by them, and you have been speaking for them? Ooh. Do you want to fight or not? Lousy is so boring. Don't look. Children have their own opinions. In fact, there is only one voice in the end. That's Rodan. As for whether Paluzolino is undercover, the answer to this question is definitely no. No matter what her identity was before the summoning, she is one of her own after the summoning. This point, Rodan was still very relieved. At this moment, Baki floated over. Captain, what do you think? The strong are never slaves. Rodan smiled. I think, it still depends on whether Drago can let it go. Surrender. The other party will definitely not surrender. Able to walk. There is only one way to form an alliance. Rodan actually didn't care, mainly because the Revolutionary Army couldn't encroach on his interests. An enemy of an enemy is a friend. This sentence is still okay. As for the Revolutionary Army does not need to worry about betrayal. But the backstab after the battle, but think differently. When it comes to specific deployments for battle, shouldn't it be enough to let them take the lead? The wind blew and danced. Drago appeared on the flying boat alone, with a calm face. My thoughts are different from my father. His death is his own choice. Better to overthrow the world government ruled by the celestial dragons, and save the people of the world from suffering. My revenge is not worth mentioning. Face. No sorrow and no joy. Having said so much, it can be seen that Drago has also made a big decision. Then, happy cooperation. Rodan smiled and held out his right hand. The hands of the two finally held together. This scene. It also made the commanders of the Fourth Army secretly breathe a sigh of relief. Afterwards. No time wasted. The Rodan regiment and the top leaders of the Revolutionary Army all gathered on the edge of a strategic sand table. Discuss the battle plan. The Marine under the world government is their right-hand man. The first series of enemies we have to deal with. And Marine is currently licking its wounds, and its high-end combat power is unprecedentedly weak. This is undoubtedly the best time. Rodan said unhurriedly. We need someone to block the Marine. Keep them from sending reinforcements to the world government. Everyone nodded upon hearing this. So, who will stop it? Betty, who was wearing a tight red dress and red pants, wiped off her dazzling red glasses. Mihoko, who has been leaning against the wall without speaking, suddenly raised his head. There was an inexplicable smile. Smile. Not talking. The other girls also looked at her with different expressions. The confrontation lasted for a long time. Betty flinched. Okay, I know I asked a naive question. Naval Headquarters has 3 admirals despite the loss. Sabo, who was wearing a bandage, said, we may not be able to deal with it. Aokiji, Kizaru, Fujitora. Even Kong also has a small chance to appear. There are also countless Marine Vice Admirals, which are tough nuts to crack. Rely on their Revolutionary Army alone. Not necessarily. I didn't just tell you to stop Marine. Rodan shook his head slightly. Murlocs, fur tribes, and some beasts pirates will assist you. So instead, your task should be easy. As long as I take off Im's head, Marine will lose the guard target. Naturally, there will be no meaningless battles. Your task ends here. Language fall. He looked at Dorag with a smile. So here comes the question of spears. Drago picked up a small flag and placed it in the holy place on the sand table. Are you sure to kill CPD 5 elders and I am? Currently chatting. They are all the paper strength of the world government. Maybe there are buried mines, some hidden cards that are unknown. There are many variables. These are all things that need to be taken into consideration. Only. He doesn't know. Rodan has already learned about the background of world government once. Why not? White Hu Niang suddenly grinned. Although it is a daughter. But just standing here, she can still bring great pressure to everyone in the Revolutionary Army. Heart. There is an illusion. It was as if he was facing the strongest man in the world in the past. Besides, in the corner against the wall, that newly promoted world's #1 swordsman. The woman who has the same fruit power as the dead Akainu. And sparkling fruit. These 4. All are real admiral level combat power. The remaining. Even if it is slightly inferior, it is very close. Especially the red-haired woman with a smile on her mouth who didn't say a word from beginning to end. It doesn't feel easy either. Have such a fairy combination. No wonder. They have that confidence. They may have the ultimate weapon that decides the outcome of the battle, just like the legendary widow. South Army Commander. Lindbergh suddenly jumped up and said. He often invents various weapons, in the army. Many advanced guns and ammunition have been transformed by him. He personally also developed a set in battle. Very convenient auxiliary aircraft. I am sensitive to weapons, and I think the world government will definitely have undisclosed super weapons in this regard. As for this. Rodan also nodded when he heard the words, one country, before. We'll pay attention to this. At that time, I will use the real ability of fruit to add transparency and noise reduction to you. He can't believe Marie joys anymore. Those guys dare to use weapons of mass destruction? What? Don't even want your own home. So. Rodan thinks it's the 5 elders and Im's strength that should be worried. But. If not, try it. And how do you know how powerful they will be? At last. The deliberation process lasted for an hour, and it ended after the general agreement was made. Action. Tonight for sure. Sooner rather than later. Hancock went back to Nine Snakes Island, looking at the joyful subjects, with mixed emotions. Rodan gave her 2 choices. First, take the whole island with them as they attack the world government. Second, leave it as it is, but the price is to continue to follow him. Hancock took the second option with little thought. It is impossible for the clansmen to accompany Rodan on adventures. To go. Also go alone, inside the palace. Hancock gave his 2 younger sisters a last word. All or some. She is no longer something that needs to be done well. I didn't feel much about Hancock living in 9 Snake Island before, but after leaving. She just knew. It turns out there are so many things to miss. Lovely 2 sisters. Annoying mother-in-law. And subjects who admired and were crazy about her beauty. My lord, are you really going to leave soon? My lord, you will come back in the future. The eyes of the 2 sisters were full of reluctance. When I have time, I will come back and take a look. Hancock. I didn't tell them about the big thing that the Rodan group will do next. Why don't you, my lord, take the 2 of us with you too? Yes, we can take care of you, Santa Sonia and Marigold said hurriedly. Take care of? Your sister and I have to take care of others. Hancock secretly sighed, quite pitiful. This made the 2 sisters even more distressed. Pity. On that boat. No one will appreciate it at all. The resistance of those guys to her beauty is simply uncommonly high. If you leave with me, what will happen to Snake Island? Is that old guy alone? Hancock shook his head. Just when he was about to say something, an ultimate shining golden light shot in from outside the palace. Gradually, it turned into a graceful woman in the hall. This immediately aroused the vigilance of Santa Sonia and Marigold. Fine. Hancock waved his hand. Get up. He regained his indifferent expression, flattened the leather robe and walked down. I said, aren't you tired of having this face all day long? I am willing. Okay, then let's go, Boa Hancock. Paluzolino smiled. A turn around. The white skin flew up and walked out of the hall with his hands in his pockets. Sister, are you in such a hurry? The 2 little sisters were a little bit reluctant. Well, remember to take care of my 9 Snake Island for me. Hancock glanced at them. The tone of the 2 of them. Unknown. I thought she married out of the court. Go out. After parting with everyone on 9 Snake Island, as well as her mother-in-law. Hancock returned to the airship again, and this time, Rodan also gave her a small task, which is to petrify the crocodile mother again. Liberation. Take advantage of the system. Liberate Tashiji's special mermaid body. Let the crocodile girl take over again. After all, he can freely control the water element. In this sea. Absolutely unique ability, during naval battles. It will play an absolute role, after everyone arrives. The airship and the dragon boat are walking side by side, controlling the speed and heading towards the holy land of Marie Joyce. Blink of an eye. Hours passed, period. The Fur tribe, the Murloc tribe, and the old tribe led by the Black Marie Joyce and Yamato. Come together. At last. According to the agreed place, I successfully met with the flying boat and dragon boat again. Not much to say. Rodan directly imposed a large area of silence on everyone, including the Revolutionary Army. And a transparency package for everyone, so. On the way to the holy land of Marie Joyce, you can hide your body to the greatest extent. The Revolutionary Army were full of praise. If they also have this kind of hiding ability, the colleagues who were once prevented by CP from discovering and killing them can be much less, in the process of confronting the world government. It will be even smoother. Pity. This kind of thing. There is only one person in the world that Rodan can do. Change someone. Even if you have these 2 abilities, you don't have enough physical strength to squander. To know. The current Alliance army adds up to tens of thousands of people. That's it. Let's split up. Drago nodded on the dragon boat and reminded again. Is there really no need to send an army to follow you? Children of Rodan. Although all the powerful ones are like monsters, but if there are too many opponents, it may be difficult to deal with them. After all, 2 fists are no match for 4 hands. No, too many people is not good. Rodan shook his head. This time it's a blitzkrieg, with a bang. Drago didn't say much anymore. So far. The air became quiet. If there are outsiders passing by here, you can see it carefully. Here. Nothing at all. But a large sea area is slightly concave, as if some invisible existence is oppressing the sea surface. From time to time, there was also a trace of ripples. The scene is extremely strange, that's all. Both sides go up and down. Each quietly entered a special route belonging to Marine. Here. A large number of marine patrol ships are densely covered, and any trouble can be found. At the same time, because of the lessons learned from Whitebeard's previous raids, Marine also arranged a lot of underwater submarines to patrol back and forth alternately. Purpose: it is to prevent the enemy from sneaking into the sea. It stands to reason. The guard is flawless, and you can find out when there is any movement. But this time it was a beat slower. Marine exclusive sea area. Nearly 20 nautical miles inward, a slender patrol ship was on board. Report: there are ripples on the sea level ahead. There seems to be something moving underwater. A Marine from the observation deck reports down. After a while, someone answered him and took over the watchtower seat. See for yourself. The nearby diving team didn't find anything unusual. Did you read it wrong? There is nothing under the sea. There is nothing at sea. But the water surface is very unstable. Could it be because of the wind direction? He adjusted the focus and analyzed back and forth. Sudden. His pupils shrank. As if thinking of something, he shouted, "Quick! Go and report to the headquarters." This kind of phenomenon can't be wrong. Combined with the recent commotion in New World, and his fruit abilities, the Rodan pirates are invading. Ooh. Marine, who was in charge of wiring, nodded blankly. Just call. But the next moment his hands began to tremble. Wait. RO. Rodan Regiment. Don't stand still, the clock is ticking now. The major was panicked, and then very annoyed. Damn, I should have thought of it earlier. The rest of the Marine. Hearing the words, Luo, and, ding, cold sweat broke out on the forehead and back. That man, how dare he come? I heard from the intelligence that it has been severely damaged, and it is still integrating the forces of New World. How could it be so fast? Going to kill Admiral again? Telescope. Give me the telescope. Let me see. Panic permeated the patrol ship with not many Marines. Some people. In spite of everything, he snatched his companion's binoculars. No way. Cause such a situation. It all comes from Summit War, the day when the Rodan pirates suppressed and killed Admiral Strongly. Also that day, the middle and low-level Marines began to have a deep fear of the Rodan regiment. That's right. Marine is afraid of pirates, not jealous. Such a negative. Beyond Whitebeard. Beyond the fear of the One Piece Gold Roger. Soon. The phone bug got through to Marineford. In fact, Marineford has almost been broken up, and the high-level officials are now stationed on a nearby island. As a temporary residence, after hearing this message, immediately summon all the vice admirals in the mission, and even a large number of rear admirals. Marine Admiral. It was gathered at the first time. Rodan Regiment. It directly touched the hearts of everyone in the headquarters. After all here, it is the most important gate blocking the way to the Holy Land. Once it is breached, let a large number of pirates drive straight in. The consequences, I can't imagine. Pity. What they don't know is, Rodan's courage far exceeded their imagination, and he drove the spaceship directly to the Holy Land. Straight past the Marine Night temporary base of the headquarters. Quick, quick. Get on the boat as fast as you can. Rodan. A large number of pirates are very close, and they are asleep. They all cheer up, and the Holy Land will transfer them as soon as possible. A famous general officer shouted and directed in the dormitory. In the middle of the night, it was too sudden. No Marine thought that the Rodan regiment would not hide their strengths and bide their time, but be so radical. After being aroused, many Marines below heard that it was the Rodan regiment. His face paled quickly. Some of them were even ashen-faced, being pushed and pushed forward, feeling like they were going to die. Soon. One by one, the elite boarded the ship and stood by. Is it too late to write the suicide note? Are you kidding? Even Admiral and the Marshal have been killed. What's the use of sending us there? Is not it? Do you want everyone to die? Everyone's heart is heavy. This is the reason many Marine single mothers do not start families. It's not that they don't want to, rather. As a Marine, there will always be a near-death situation. The more you worry about, the more restraints there are, the more unable to let go. Everyone calm down. Rodan is not as scary as you think. They must have been seriously injured. On this fleet, Jia Ji walked over with big strides, his face drooping and ugly. Seriously. Even he himself didn't believe it when he said it. Since people are rushing to. Naturally, they were relatively prepared, and the injury was by no means as serious as they imagined. I do not know how long it has been. Boom 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 _. Clatter, sudden. There was a burst of loud bombardment in the distance, and several warships around began to shake violently. Warning. Ahead. There is a pirate ship ahead. Damn it. I can't even see it. How can I aim at this? Look at the ups and downs, and judge by the ups and downs of the water surface. Load the ammo. Even in a panic. Very scary. However, the long-standing actual combat and training habits still subconsciously let them carry out the work at hand. Boom. As the flames soared into the sky, gunpowder smoke filled the sea area. Marine strikes back. Only. The effect is not satisfactory. They were not very good at aiming, but now they can't even aim. And it was still night. Just blind them. It's all about intuition. Basically no hits. On the contrary, it is opposite. Under the constant roar, several warships have been sunk. Hey, what a bully. Kizaru puts one hand in his pocket. Jumped back onto a marine warship. In the color of knowledge. The front is filled with dense aura, but only there is no Rodan regiment. So, didn't the Rodan pirates come? So where did they go? Seeing the surrounding warships suffer, he temporarily suppressed this idea. Let's solve the immediate problem first. The old man will not be polite. The corners of his thick lips parted slightly. He raised his right index finger. Call out. The golden light is overflowing. It shot directly at a blank sea area hundreds of meters away. Then, an incredible thing happened. The laser seemed to hit the air, and a violent explosion quickly occurred. The mushroom cloud is steaming. The waves heaved violently. But the Marines were greatly relieved. It's just too passive. Kizaru didn't stop here, and the index finger gathered light again. Move slightly. Aim at the other side and start accumulating power. Boom, another bunch of mushroom clouds rose. Just when Kizaru wanted to make persistent efforts, the surrounding seawater suddenly became abnormal. Boom. The warship began to sway. The boat is leaking. There's a creature down there. Damn it. Get off the boat. There are a lot of murlocs under the boat making trouble. Where's the submarine's early warning? What do they eat? Just got the news. It's all gone. Too fast. Everything is too fast. Marine staggered along with the warship and almost couldn't even grab it. Hull. One big hole after another was broken. On board. Water flooded like crazy again. The situation is getting worse. Just when Kizaru was about to make a move, he frowned. Immediately afterwards, in silence, 3 long dragonclaw marks appeared on his body. Then, the whole warship was thus torn apart. Call out. Kizaru turned into light particles and flashed high above the sky. Revolutionary Army? He recognized this dragonclaw move. A little surprised, but also expected. Things are getting tricky. He scratched his forehead, transparent plus silent. Fully assembled. Still such a big fight. It may be nothing for his level, but for the middle and low-level Marines who are less knowledgeable. But big trouble. At this time, a figure in a purple suit flew into the sky. Between drawing swords, the invisible gravity pressed down precisely. Puff puff puff, the seawater exploded around the warship, and the phenomenon of being spouted by the barrels subsided instantly. Immediately afterwards, this sea area quickly fills up with layers of ice. Together with the transparent ships at the front, they were covered with a thick layer of ice. People on it. Most of them jumped down ahead of time, and the few who didn't have time all turned into ice sculptures. Transparency. It's a little more active in a frozen way. He let out a breath of cold air. Aokiji stood up from the ice, staring at the murloc sculpture under the ice. Tone. With a little puzzlement. Murlocs, do you want to make peace too? So far. Aokiji, Kizaru, Fujitora. The 3 admirals who represent the highest combat power of Marine are all gathered. Ah la la, is there anything shameful? Don't dare to show up. Aokiji's words fell. A gust of wind blew up from the opposite side. Hulala, the wind died down. Still no trace. But in the eyes of the admirals, there are already several people with good spirits standing in front of them. Leader Dorag. The Chief of Staff of the Revolutionary Army and the commanders of the 4th Army are all here. Besides, Neko Mamushi and Inwarashi, Yamato and Black Marie Joyce. Lots of real hits. All gathered here, perhaps. They faced Admiral's lack of individual strength. But there are quite a few inferior elite combat powers. In addition, today is the night of the full moon. It is a carnival night for all the fur tribe. Ordinary Marine. It is still in a dazed state, except for those ships that are frozen. Them. Still didn't even see the shadow of the enemy. How to play? Is it against the air? Just as the two sides were confronting each other, Arc Proverbs flew unhurriedly to a position close to the Red Alley. Red Lane. That is the port of the Red Line. On it. It is the holy land where the nobles of the world live. The girls on the flying boat. Some can't wait, especially Guy Duo. Although I went to the previous mission once, but I didn't enjoy it at all when I got it back. Also help the World Government Guard. The same is true for Bai Hu Niang and Sakaski, not to mention how upset they are. But it's different now. Hit it down. The world is almost theirs. Whoa, whoa, whoa. The final battle, is it about to start? La Cha Cha Cha, the throne of the world, it really makes people feel the long-lost enthusiasm. How much is the treasury of the world government? 10 billion berry? Or 100 billion berry? Ha ha ha, my Baji goddess wants it all. Gu la la la. I hope I can have more fun. The girls stood at the bow of the ship. Look straight ahead. The huge castle shrouded in clouds and mist has an irrepressible fire in its eyes. Although it is a woman, but with the heroic feelings of a boy. They suppressed their excitement. He looked at the one standing on the tip of the boat, wearing a blue cloak. That figure was tall and straight. The man who summoned them. Boom _ Suddenly, the flying boat made a sound like an engine exploding. Immediately afterwards, long chimney pipes shot black clouds wildly upward. Not for a while. Will be widely covered in the surrounding. Zzz countless thunder snakes rolled upwards, stimulating the thundercloud to continuously roar like a beast. Call, purple-black supergiant spherical lightning. Slowly float down from the sky. Certainly. All of this is silent, and a sufficient height and distance from the holy place are maintained. Other side. Almost impossible to detect. Rodan took advantage of the situation and hung in the air, dragging the giant ball thousands of meters long with a single palm. The corners of the mouth rose slightly. Then, fight. With the domineering tone down. Ball, he also threw it in the past. Give 5 elders and I am a big gift first. Welcome to tyrannical poison thunder, at the same time. Holy place. Pangu City. In the central building, on the luxurious rooftop on the top floor. 5 elders. He had already stood here, and now his eyes were looking far ahead. As if. Is watching something. And the expressions of the 5 people are also different. There are dignified, emotional, uneasy, and angry. Backquote, the direction of the world will be decided tonight. Clean up with all your might. I really didn't expect that a small pirate group would develop to such a degree in just a few months. Let them see our true background. What is the pinnacle of the world? This most glaring light in history should be extinguished. Headed by bald old man. 1 step forward. Stretch your right hand. From his bosom. Took out a golden microphone. Whispered for a while. At the same time. Red Lane is 100 meters away. Suddenly, a ripple appeared on the pitch-black sea. These ripples. Bigger and bigger, bigger and bigger. Finally spread to hundreds of meters away. Gulu. The dense blisters exploded. A dark blue demon hundreds of meters long revived from the abyss of the sea. Puff the water splash changed from boiling to churning, a giant tens of meters tall. Standing straight. This is a dark blue battleship exuding the luster of jewels. As soon as it appears, the surrounding area is instantly illuminated by fluorescent blue light. Boom boom boom. The hull made a mechanical noise. But it's fast. All for a moment, he aimed at the dark front. Is this the legendary Pluton? It's really shocking. A country is imitating it. It is worthy of ancient weapon. It's a pity. It can't be made anyway, on the Red Lane. Several white-clothed CPOS watched from afar. The 407th Rodan pirates are really stealthy. It's a pity. They don't know that Pluton has a special device that can automatically lock them. It's a pity that it can't be used forever, and the degree of internal damage has reached 90%. Forcing adults to use it, the Rodan regiment is proud. Several people will witness next. It is one of the 3 ancient weapons with the name of God, the super debut of the worst warship in the history of shipbuilding. At least. First show for them. This super battleship built by the capital of 7 waters can destroy an island with 1 shot. The island, here. It still refers to large islands, which are absolutely leveraged in terms of power. Destroy the Rodan regiment. They think that the problem is not big, even if the other party has created miracles again and again. But just hit. No problem. It's a pity that Pluton is about to die, and it is estimated that it should be scrapped after this issue. This It is also the world government who is so eager to find the detailed drawings of Pluton. And thus make it again. Just like this. The rule under the world government will be more stable. You don't have to be so embarrassing like you met Rodan. Boom. Special shells inside Pluton's giant long tubes have been fired. Send impetus. It is pushed by waves of pure energy. Speed. Reached several times the speed of sound. If it weren't for the superb observation hockey, it wouldn't even be easy to predict. Because you just anticipated the blow, people, has come to your face, at this time, most coincidentally. The poison thunderbolt made by Rodan also pushed down 1,000 meters. And the Pluton shell just happened to collide with it. This moment, like Mars hitting the Earth. Rapid high-temperature lava, unimaginable pressure. All crushed together. Shockwave. It spread 10,000 meters away in an instant. The internal energy is squeezed and collapsed, and finally directly expanded and released. It burst out with a dazzling light. This light. It directly illuminates the red alley in the holy place, 100 times more dazzling than the sun during the day. Pluton. One shot can destroy an island, and Lei Ying. In the original state, it can destroy a cloud island, and there is no room for the creatures within the range to survive. Now. Conqueror's coiled poison thunder blessed by Rodan welcome. Even stronger than I know geometry, after the two collided. Explosive power is not as simple as 1 + 1. The power exceeds everyone's imagination. Including Rodan. Red Alley. The CPO saw a circle of aurora rising in the distance, and goosebumps all over his body. This is trembling from the soul. The power of God is nothing more than this. Pluton, it's horrible. Would it involve our side? A CPO with a sunflower face suddenly said worriedly. The companion beside him shook his head. How is it possible? This is thousands of meters away. The voice did not fall. Bright. Come with a rolling heat wave. The CPO shrank his pupils and opened his eyes as wide as possible. No. He scooped it up with both hands. The figure began to twist under the strong wind pressure. The whole person began to struggle. Several CPOs directly turned on the strongest animalization state, trying to resist the aftermath damage caused by this. There are lions. There are giant bears, and crazy gorillas. Muscles are more developed than one, but struggling. It is also more intense than the other. The orangutan hangs its head and hangs its feet. Even with the hardening of the armed color, more than half of the fur was burnt. Fight to the last breath. He jumped up. Jumped directly to the Holy Land. That's right, he wants to escape the bombing range. The lion and the giant bear are a little slower. The three roared. Suffering enormous torment, he rushed forward. Just a few seconds. More than half of the hockey covering the whole body wasted. Woo, the lungs of the orangutan CPO are burning like a dry exhaust fan. It's a coincidence. Also lucky. He only ran a few hundred meters before he ran out of the last aftermath range. He came to the edge. Then. Plop. He fell on the stone bricks, and fell from the animal state back to the human form. Chi is like a gossamer. Body. No one is perfect. The rest. Without exception, all of them were buried in the heat wave. Here. Only 100 meters away from Pengu City, 5 elders naturally witnessed this scene with their own eyes. 10 old eyes. Instantly squinted up. The power. How is it much stronger than the 140 years ago? Pluton's last roar, of course, will burn out all his strength. The old man in white robe said lightly. This look that you don't even know makes the old man with a long beard a little upset. Okay. Just confirm the solution. Even if the CPO is so far away, it can't stop it, not to mention it's much higher than expected, and it almost involves our Rodan pirates being strong, so we can't survive. Wait. Something is wrong. The elders were chatting. Suddenly the bald old man interrupted and put down the microphone at the same time. Face. Extremely heavy. This appearance also made the hearts of the rest of the elders thump. Subconsciously feel uneasy. Won't what happened again? It's over there at Naval Headquarters. The 4 elders heard the words. Chi gave a sigh of relief, as long as there is no trouble with Rodan. What's wrong? The Revolutionary Army launched a surprise attack, and it should be ready. But judging from the report, it is far more than the Revolutionary Army's manpower, and the situation on the Marine side is very bad. Need immediate support, the bald old man said. The blond old man nodded, and said unhurriedly, then support, let Kong pass by the way, and don't need to guard the Holy Land. Etc. The bald old man interrupted again. Here. Several people frowned. What's the matter? Can you say it in one breath? Hanging. Is it fun? Breath. Their breath hasn't disappeared yet. What? Now, the four of them lost their composure. The bald old man was the most knowledgeable of them all. Said it didn't disappear. There's a good chance it's still alive. How is it possible? It's clearly at the center of the detonation. The fluffy old man couldn't believe it. I have to contact Kong immediately. Don't contact him anymore. Above. A voice very familiar to five elders suddenly sounded. Immediately afterwards. A muscular old man with a white haircut and a white cape looked like a dead fish. Fall from the sky. There was a bang, blood gradually stained the turf. The five elders turned pale with shock. Null. Kong, the commander-in-chief of the three armies, just died like this? How long? The five suddenly raised their heads. How about it? Do you still like it? The flying boat was slowly falling down, and the tone was like a guest from afar. For master. A small gift was given. Gulu. I don't know who swallowed. The old man in white robe among five elders clenched the long sword in his hand. Unsheathed. A black-purple sharp blade was revealed, pointing directly at the sky. Rodan. The remaining four people. Although he doesn't have a weapon, he is ready to attack at any time. Flying boat. Soon it was level with five people. Rodan, the leader, always kept a calm smile. Do you still like the fireworks just now, grandpas? Gu la la la. Kong's bones are really hard. It's a pity. If you have time, you can play with him.
Who told him to seek death and pass by us? One playful female voice sounded after another.
Five elders. While shocking that the opponent is not dead, my heart is about to explode. To the end. What happened? Didn't it blow them up? Isn't it weird we didn't die? Hee hee, it's better to keep this doubt and go to see Kong. Presumptuous. When did the five pampered people receive such provocative words? Send them down face to face. Is it true that the world government can stabilize these 800 years with just 5 politicians? Really, it's too childish. The old man in white robe took a step forward, holding a black and purple long knife. Pull upwards. Call out. This stroke. It is a super slash that only a great swordsman can unleash. When the faces of the children moved, it was time to make a move. Rodan shook his head, fishing with one hand. A knife exactly like the bald old man in white robe appeared in the void. Just unsheathed. The dazzling black and blue shone around, and the conqueror's hockey on Rodan took the initiative to move towards the sword. Initiative. Strengthened the power of the knife. Mihoke on the side looked sideways slightly, and was attracted attention. Boom. Rodan also slashed, in Mihoko's view. The captain's knife. It doesn't mix any skills in sword intent that belong to a swordsman, nor has it reached any level of swordsmanship. It's all about brute force, but that's it. Rodan still slashed with extremely strong sword energy. And from the looks of it, it's no weaker than the old man in white robe. Boom. The two collide. The wanton sword energy tore apart the garden below, and scraped Kong's body away like garbage for dozens of meters. Finally, it slowly disappeared into the air. Is this also Ghost Toru? The white-robed old man's tone was unstable, as if he had seen a ghost. He wasn't surprised Rodan was able to block it. Instead, I was amazed at how this guy also has the demon sword demon Toru. He can be sure, not second generation, third generation, but the pure and authentic generation, except the color is a little different. The remaining. It's exactly the same, at least that's how it feels to him. Surprisingly smooth. Rodan was playing with this supreme sword, and suddenly he became interested in the sword. Hey, Captain, we can't wait any longer. Yeah, the 5 elders don't look weak, but there are too few of them. Hey, I've taken a fancy to that bald old man, that guy must be handed over to me. Gu la la la. What joke are you looking at, Guy Duo? There are only 5 people in total. Several girls gearing up, some and can't wait. Then go on. Rodan smiled. If 5 elders' whole card is Pluton. Excuse me. After that shot, he determined the direction and took it away. If nothing else, these 5 people have to be ready. And a few girls chatting. After reaching the ears of the 5 elders, it became extremely harsh. What's the meaning? Is this treating them like lambs to be slaughtered? Arrogant Junior. The 5 shot in anger. On the flying boat. Bai Hu Niang smiled heartily, and then punched out from the air. Silala, the space couldn't bear it, and began to crack inch by inch. 5 elders paused. Immediately afterwards, a white light burst out, and the tear was healed directly. As if nothing had happened, the 5 continued to come through the air. See this scene. Not only did Bai Hunyang not feel discouraged at all, but she was very happy. Gu la la la, that's right, it's better than those 5 old women. And only in this way can I arouse my mother's interest. Baki stretched out his hands, and his body began to split. Dover. Grin. 10 thin and powerful light white fingers began to dance. Sakaski raised the brim of his hat. All over. Lava started to come out. Mihoko glanced at Shanks, and drew out the supreme sword, White Sword Day. Paluzolino pulled out the Amazono Cloud Sword. Gaia's holding a mace. He grinned grimly. The muscles of the body exploded inch by inch, directly opening the most powerful dragon form. Almost all staff. All eyes on the 5 elders. It was as if they were snatching up tender and delicious pieces of meat. Boom! There was constant roar from the Holy Land. This is where the battle of the highest level breaks out. On the ark. Rodan glanced at the redhead. Aren't you going? With them here, there is no need for me to go down. Shanks smiled. Even if the 5 elders burn their lives, their strength is close to that of the 4 emperors. Tight. There is really no need to go down. As expected. As Shanks said, with the collapse of buildings in the Holy Land of Marie Joyce, the momentum of the 5 elders gradually weakened. Like a shooting star in the night sky, bright fast. But at the same time dark faster. Sky. Several elements are mixed together. Wind, rain, thunder, fire. A long blue dragon hovered above the Holy Land, constantly swallowing these powerful elemental forces. Whenever close, those who tried to come to reinforce were all easily incinerated. Hush, split, steel wire, lava, flash, knife light. Under these dense attacks, 5 elders. In the end, he couldn't hold on and flew upside down for hundreds of meters. Rodan watched the scene, heart not happy. On the contrary, I feel a little strange. World government is much weaker than he imagined. Is their strength unknowingly becoming too fishy? After coming here, simply crushed. No, didn't show up. Rodan thought. Xinwang constantly scanned the entire Marie Joyce, including every corner of the ancient city. The weird thing is, didn't he find any sign of at all? Escaped early? Since he had the confidence of Pluton before, there is no reason to run away. Could it be? Hide under him? Just when Rodan was wondering. Children. Chase in the direction where the 5 elders fell. At this moment, a sudden change occurred. The location where the 5 elders landed suddenly shone with a holy light. Immediately afterwards, a magic circle-like circle spins and rises rapidly. Just for a split second. So the entire Holy Land of Marie Joyce was wrapped in it. Formed. A super enchantment emitting white light. And at the moment when the enchantment enveloped everyone in the realm including 5 elders. Then he could no longer move, as if space. Forcibly blocked by some mysterious force, extremely domineering. As strong as Rodan and Bai Hunyang, it is difficult to break free. This feeling. It's like being stuck in a super quagmire. What happened? Careless. Is this the power of devil fruit? The girls couldn't move. They all looked in the direction of Rodan subconsciously. Anyone can do anything. But the object they need to protect, the captain must not have anything to do. In contrast to 5 elders, at this moment, he is floating in midair with his hands raised high, and light particles are emitting from his body. Keep supporting the enchantment. Although the corners of the mouth are overflowing, but the spirit is very full. Rodan pirates, accept the punishment. The majesty of the world government, we will defend it with our lives. As it says, they at this time, life is being consumed all the time. Clatter, a crisp sound of heels colliding resounded extremely piercingly in the Holy Land. Now, all is silent. It's as if it's her own home. That powerful. So tall. So lonely. Rodan pirates, you guys have come this far. I never imagined. It really surprised me. But that's all for now. This sound. As if floating from outside the sky, melodious and undisciplined. Sure enough, it can't end so easily. Rodan narrowed his eyes. He swept towards the figure in robes who was walking forward step by step. Now. Within the enchantment, his body and fruit abilities seem to be sealed. Can't move. The same goes for the rest of the crew. I can tell. It's all 5 elders' tricks, and the purpose is to make I am. Let's do it. Thank you for your hard work. I am glanced at the 5 old men who were burning their vitality, and then looked in Rodan's direction. Eyes like a crimson moon. Light up slightly. You guys, are you ready? Her lips, unusually bright. The king of the world. You've been pretending to be a ghost for so long. Hurry up if you want to do it. Rodan sneered. Your body can't wait, They are about to break free from the shackles of the 5 elders, presumably the same goes for Bai Huniang and the others. Rodan wanted to see it. I am. What is the ability to solve them in this short time? Certainly. Confidence is self-confidence, he will not sit still. Foolishly waiting for the opponent to kill, thinking. He contacted the 4-star girly card Kuzan in the storage ring. Under the communication of thinking, in an instant, a large black hole broke out in the sky within the enchantment. This scene naturally attracted I am. She frowned. Stretch out your plain hand, and a flash of light shoots up. And at this moment, a large number of cold wave ice thorns floated from the sky. Boom, the two collide. The light easily tore through the ice, and then shot in smoothly. Immediately afterwards, there were clicking sounds one after another. On the black hole, a pool of broken ice fell. But the next second, the ice quickly condensed and turned into a tall woman with blindfolds. Ah la la, is it so big when you come here? Ku Chan. Feeling the gradually stiff body, he didn't panic. Instead, he glanced at Rodan, about there. Rodan's arms began to congeal with blood, soon. Spreads to the back and the whole body. Call. He broke free. It turned into a rapidly flickering purple lightning, and teleported in the direction of I am. And I am. The moment he shot down Ku Chan, he didn't expect Rodan to break free so quickly. Put your hands together. A pull. A huge and dazzling white light covered her whole body. Holy sanction. Boom. White light turned into streamer. They scattered towards the directions determined by the women, and one of them fell towards the top of Im's head strangely. And at this moment, Rodan held the thunder spear in his right hand, and it happened to flash directly above Im's head. Never mind. He stabbed straight down, and the streamer in the sky. It also successfully pierced Rodan's body. When the other streaks of streamer hit the girls all broke through the restrictions and used their own moves to deal with the streamers. In contrast to 5 elders, after burning the last trace of life, he fell powerlessly from midair. The barrier disappears. Boom, the earth trembled and dust and smoke filled the air. Subsequently, female, surrounded I am. After an unknown amount of time, the shadow robe was torn. I am was beaten terribly under the punches and kicks, but the women thoughtfully did not hit her in the face. But to take her true countenance, saved for last. I'm a bit disappointed, I am. I didn't expect you to lose so quickly. Rodan came over and lifted Im's chin, who was lying on the ground. Look at her face. He showed a puzzled expression. He doesn't know. But there is something familiar, it always feels like I have seen it somewhere. Look. Very similar to Nami's face. You look familiar to me, convergence of the world. What else can a person grow into? M smiled. The smile is very free and easy. It has been 800 years, and a new generation replaces an old one, just like a reincarnation. You, after all, will be like me. No, I'm nothing like you. Rodan shook his head. Crushed Im's jaw, then hugged her. Here comes one. Hug kill. Kacha kacha. There was the sound of a broken spine. I am, the king of the world, was strangled to death in this way. Certainly. There are also credits to the women at that time. The screen changed. Rodan sat on the long-lost void throne, and a whole week had passed. Period. After Marine learns that the world government has been breached and a large number of celestial dragons have been held hostage by Rodan. Then he has no intention of fighting again. Next. It also surrendered naturally. No way. The master is gone, what else can they do? Fight to the death. Impossible. And the revolutionary army then successfully teamed up with Rodan to push the celestial dragons back from the throne. It was lifted. The leader Drago also disappeared. The dust settled. Unprecedented big news spread all over the world and after the Grand Line. The pirates didn't dare to show their faces freely, for fear that Rodan would destroy them if he got angry. And the new Marine. It is recruiting on a large scale, and there are many people who join enthusiastically. Compared with pirates, it's like ushering in spring. Crime rates fell sharply. People, no oppression. The quality of life has also increased rapidly, and everything is developing in a good direction. Holy place. The sun was setting. Rodan sat on the stone, looking at the falling into a smile. Behind him, it was Mihoko and the others. Along the way, let you leave your hometown and come here. Do you regret it? He tilted his head slightly. Afterglow. It made Rodan's profile face pale golden. Very manly. The girls laughed. The smile is so intoxicating, so determined. If you regret it, you won't be able to take this step. Wow, Captain, don't be so sensational. It's like everyone is leaving. She. The road ahead is still long, isn't it? Yes. Rodan lay on the ground, spread his hands, and smiled heartily. Grand Line has many routes, and the places where we are drawn. There are still many, aren't there? Go ahead and blow.